ready?
SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
Hello, everybody. Okay, so we've got a whole bunch to talk about, including the Leafs winning 6 games over the course of a playoff for the first time in the what is it, 18-year history of LFR?
19.
And the first time in our podcast history, which is almost, 13, 14 years? We've never had
2013
a sixth win to talk about.
It's so silly. And someone very unnecessarily, but necessarily pointed out, and they're still 10 away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
Yo,
there's a bit. There's a bit to go.
It's, I guess as Leaf fans, we've maybe missed the mark here. Maybe not missed the mark. That's not the right term. I'm not batting 1,000 today. I'm not operating on 100. The playoffs are so long.
They are.
So long. They could beat the Panthers. They could sweep them.
And they'd
only be halfway there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's long. It's a slog. You don't look ahead. You don't even look at the other series.
Mm-hmm.
You don't look at what's happening in Washington, Carolina.
Actually, well, you do, because you wouldn't watch your watch along with your friend Adam Wilde.
Yes.
Oh.
But I'm talking in terms of if you can compartmentalize, you obviously do that. But if you're just looking at this as the Leafs or as a Leaf fan, you don't worry about any of that.
Imagine how tantalizing it would have been. Oilers fans, you tell them they won 15 playoff games last year.
I know.
15. Didn't get the 16th. So close.
Didn't get the cup.
Now it's looking like this year they're going right back to it. But I do want to throw out there that Sport Check is your destination to gear up this playoff season. There's some great jerseys available here. Plus, we've heard they're the fastest cresters in the biz, so you can get downstairs.
They certainly are.
And this is not just here, but all across the city and all across the provinces.
There you go.
Sport Check.
Oh, that's better. Sorry.
Available everywhere.
That facial expression I was like, Jesse, turn up my headphones.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
I turned up mine too. It was nice.
Thank you,
Did you guys know that Joseph Woll is the second Leaf to record a win in relief in the playoffs, like a goalie, since 1967?
I love that so much.
For the Leafs.
For
yes.
the Leafs.
You have to specify.
Well, I mean, I think we've seen that before. But Terry Sawchuk was the only other guy to do it in Leafs history.
A man who has been dead for decades.
Yeah.
Was the last person to do it. It has been a very, very long time. One of the greatest goalies ever.
This is the first time since 1963 where the Leafs have held 2 or more 2-0 leads in a playoff series in the same postseason.
That's wild.
That's a Chris Johnston stat right there. And I feel like, you have the right to feel good about this until about, tomorrow morning. And then you could start feeling anxious again.
You feel good about it in context. 2-0 series lead.
It's great.
Job's not finished.
Great.
Game 3. Here we go.
All business. Oh, you're all business now.
All business.
Okay. All right.
That's all business. I've learned.
Now,
I've learned over the years. I think a lot of people have.
I wanted to show you guys this. This has been going around downtown Toronto. This is a Sam Bennett wanted dead or alive poster. It's a joke.
Very Red Dead Redemption.
Very relax, everybody.
Well,
relax. It's just a joke.
But Maddie terrified me though. I was like, "Oh, where'd you get that?" And I was like, "Did someone bring it to the pregame show yesterday?" She's like, "No, someone just left it on the table."
Someone left it on the table here.
Yeah,
we just showed up.
That's much more
ominous.
Yeah, ominous. Good word. Good word.
Jesse, I gotta ask you something. The text I just sent you, is it possible to bring it up? Because I want to know, before we get into this game and really dive into what happened, I want to know what this moment specifically felt like. Okay? There's a moment in this game.
I'm looking up so I don't spoil it.
I think the best moment ever. And I think it's really, really interesting that it's even happening at all, because a lot of people said this player shouldn't make the lineup. Shouldn't be in there.
Okay, so I know exactly what you're talking about before Jesse even brings it up. Adam, can I guess?
Sure.
Is it Max Pacioretty, metal as hell, staring down the barrel of the camera screaming, "Yeah, baby!"
That isn't quite
scoring?
that picture, but yes. Yeah, look at that shot.
Metal. Just metal as hell. Old man. He's younger than me. Strength. That depresses me so greatly, by the way.
That Max Pacioretty, he feels so much.
Everyone's like, look at this fossil. Look at this. He should have been out of the league half a decade ago. I'm younger. I'm older.
So Jesse,
I'm older than him.
Max Pacioretty scores on the power play. We thought the Leafs had blown that power play because they'd thrown the second unit out there. I just need to know what the pop was like in the arena.
Yeah, no, the crowd was really great last night. I thought it was the crowd that people don't want to give credit for being a really good crowd. Is the crowd that showed up because people love dumping on the Toronto suits.
Jesse, were they active enough for you? Do you feel like
they were incredible
proactive?
All night. They were engaged in the action. That's when crowds are the best, is when something happens and they're cheering and something happens and they boo. And it's not just the goals or a big save or anything. It's all of the little plays in between. And they did something that they often don't do in Scotiabank Arena. They stood up.
Whoa.
During, I think it was like late second, we had like a solid 5 minutes of the majority of the lower bowl just standing up. It's something that happens quite often in Dallas and Winnipeg.
Everywhere else.
Watching these playoffs right now, like those two stadiums in particular love standing like throughout the
Dallas
third.
is noticeable.
Dallas, like they're all on their feet. You can barely see the ice because they're all blocking the camera from that side of the view. But Toronto last night, they were on their feet and they were electric. It was great.
We've talked about this for years. That rah between play when it's in the neutral zone, you just don't get that here. It's the pops, the craziest pops. Obviously the goals, the chances, the saves, the hits. They love a hit. They love screaming at the refs. That was the loudest ref you suck I think I've heard, because you know what, NHL refs I think are going to take the wrong lesson from last night's game. Because Leaf fans are like, that was garbage. And Panthers fans are like, that was garbage. And they're going to be like, they're equally mad at us. That means we did a good job. Nope. Not how that works. Oh, everyone's upset. That means I did great. Yeah? You ever run a restaurant?
Everybody hates the
You ever
food
run
here.
any other business? No, man. I just think you didn't do a very good job. Like, the embellishment was wild. The mugging of Pontus Holmberg.
Yeah,
what did he do?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
So the game kicks off really with two Panther penalties, Kulikov and Marchand in the first 10 minutes. Leafs can't get anything done. And then almost immediately after Brad Marchand gets out of the box, he's able to draw in Bobby McMahon on a tripping call. Now, Bobby and Brad, I think Bobby's going for the hit, but both have their legs a little bit out. Bobby trips Brad. Brad does a pirouette. And he really flew.
It's valid, but it's Brad.
Yeah. So
if that makes sense.
Then you immediately get a goal about it's like
Less than 10 seconds.
it was a Barkov face-off win, and boom, in. And so instantly this game is off to a different start than what the Leafs would have.
Bad?
Yeah, bad start. You don't like that.
No.
And I feel like the rest of the period played out pretty well.
Yes.
You don't hate the way that either team played, but you don't want to go into the second intermission down 1-0. You just don't.
Well, and then Panthers take a third penalty.
That's right. And that brings you to the metal as hell Max Pacioretty goal.
It also brings you to a moment where you're like, all right, there's too much time left in the game for this narrative, but if they don't score here, they probably lose.
Is that how you felt?
100%. Dude, they had 5 seconds worth of power play time and scored. You got 3 power plays in one first period in a playoff game. What do you think that's going to get better as the series goes? No. And you were 0 for 5 last game. I'm like, you're down now. It was cute last game when you still managed to get 5, but you're down now. You need a goal. Someone friggin' score.
And the top unit couldn't get anything done.
Couldn't get anything done. I didn't think they were that bad, honestly.
No, I didn't either. They created opportunities, whatever. But Berube with, 30 seconds to go on the power play, whatever it is, that he throws the second unit out there. And it seems as though the Panthers just didn't take it as seriously. Maybe they were caught in an awkward change. But Max Pacioretty is, guys, all alone.
They didn't put anyone on him. Mm-hmm. They didn't put anyone on him. And I didn't appreciate it until this morning, but there was almost like a secondary screen from Bobby McMahon higher in the slot. But also, if you go and watch that replay, people forget what happened right before because the celebration was so great. McMahon and Domi both double team crunch Gustav Forsling, and he was pretty slow moving the rest of the shift. There wasn't a lot of time left in the shift, but I think they hurt him a bit.
Okay. Now, Jess, that goal goes in. They go tied. By the way, do you agree with Steve? Do you feel like it felt like if they didn't score there, they wouldn't?
Well, like, I don't know about wouldn't the whole thing.
Jesse's
but,
so much more logical.
like, no, but Steve's got a point in that it's concerning up until that point, the way the Leafs were looking on the power play in particular. I wouldn't say overall at 5-on-5, but the power play, they were 0 for 5 in the first game.
Yep.
And then they don't capitalize on the first one. So they're going into this power play at 0 for 6. Like 0 for 7.
The third one was
2.
You were at risk of going 0 for 8.
They're 1 for 8 right now. Yeah, they were 0 for 7 going into that power play, and then the first unit gets taken off. So you're like, okay, we're a minute and 30 into this 8th power play, and we're about to go 1 for 8. That would have been a disaster because the Panthers kept taking these ridiculous penalties and giving the Leafs opportunities, and you lose games when you can't capitalize on opportunities. That's where games are won and lost. You know, 100%. So there was a cause for concern, and thank goodness Pacioretty's there to calm everything down and get that goal.
Now, there's 2 stories in that Pacioretty goal. It's so first off, there's playoff Pacioretty, which we've talked about a little bit. There's playoff Morgan Riley. I guess 3 stories, and then there's playoff Max Domi.
Right.
And he was a factor later on in the game. We'll get to that, but I just want to talk a little bit about Morgan Riley in these playoffs because, and I was one of them. People have been hard on this guy. And and I was until Carlo got here. And then I'm like, there they go. What is it? How is it that Morgan Riley's able to elevate his game so much in the playoffs versus what we saw, say, 60 games in?
Well, I hated him on the second Panthers goal, but I guess we'll get there. But he's so much more engaged offensively. And I think some of the warts in his game have always been there. It's just we overlooked it because we're like, look at him scoring 20 goals and 72 points. That's ridiculous.
And also
the
rest of the Leafs D was so bad.
And so bad. Yeah. You really, Morgan Riley was a breath of fresh air compared to everyone else. I think Carlo allows Riley to engage so much more offensively. And when he's activated like that, I think we forgot how good he is. He's just got an eye for what's open, an eye for the net. And like, It takes a lot of skill for Pacioretty to do what he did. Like he tips it perfectly. I think it was between his legs, but like that's also Riley finding a target. That's not just blindly flinging it at the net and hoping he hits it. You know, I don't think that works. So he's got an eagle eye right now, and no one's got a solution for it.
Jess, did he come out and talk after the game? Was he one of the talkers?
Domi? Yeah, Domi talked to us.
Did.
Oh, you're talking about Domi?
I was going to talk about Riley, but Domi.
Oh, okay. sorry. You mentioned Domi, playoff Domi, and playoff Riley. Riley didn't talk. No,
Riley didn't talk. Okay, we'll talk. Okay, then I want to know what Domi said in a sec. Now, starting off the second period, this line is going to be a problem for the Leafs, and they got to figure it out. Brad Marchand, Anton Lundell, and Eetu Luostarinen, 15 seconds in, they score. And that feels, again, first and last minute of every period. When you let in a goal, it's a dagger.
And it's Marchand.
But what I have found is the Leafs don't get shaken the way that they used to when a goal goes in.
They don't.
Is that incorrect on my part? It just doesn't feel like it.
No.
It used to feel like the end of the world.
Against the Sens, they erased most of their leads pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. Not that the Sens had many leads in that series, but they erased those leads pretty quickly. With Florida, they were able to stave them off in game 1. And then in this one, you see the Leafs answer back, decently quickly multiple times. The one annoying stat. So I love the chat. I love the streams because I can just throw something out there into the ether, and within a few minutes, someone actually researches it. I anecdotally was like, okay, Marchand scores a lot against the Leafs in the playoffs. We know that. It feels like he scores a lot against the Leafs in the playoffs here. In Toronto. And if I remember the stat correctly, he has 11 playoff goals against the Leafs. 8 of them are in Toronto.
Wow.
He loves scoring here. Like, holy crap, you just shut that one line down from the Panthers. You might be all right. But they have, how many goals have the Panthers scored in this series? 7? Mm-hmm. They have 4, I think.
That seems like they might be the guys that are getting it done right now.
They're a problem.
They're a problem.
The Leafs are doing well, but that's a problem.
So moving on to Jesse's king, William Nylander, who scores 3.5 minutes later. And this is from Max Pacioretty.
And unsung hero. I didn't give him enough credit on the LFR. I think Benoit has a bit of a giveaway behind the Leafs net. The Panthers go to center it, and it's Ekman Larsson who gets his stick in the way, and he chips it out to center ice where Pacioretty retrieves it.
And he got the assist on
And
that.
he did get the assist.
Now, that puts William Nylander at 6 goals so far this year. Jess, that goal goes in. It starts to feel a little bit, at least from a fan perspective, like, okay, now we're sort of rolling here. Now we're back. There's nothing that's really shaking them. Craig Berube said after the game about William Nylander that he doesn't like to be talked to, so he just kind of leaves him alone. I'm curious about what the reactions were post-game about his performance and the fact that when the game ended, and this is before the Jets-Stars game, and we'll get to that, William Nylander was tied for playoff lead in scoring.
Wow.
Until Mikko, right?
Yeah, no, he's been the best playoff performer, I think, on the entire team, and that's not even like comparable, especially the way Austin's been shut down by the Barkov line, but he's been doing such a great job defensively too. Like, I'm not complaining about Austin's game, but the scoring isn't there right now from him in particular, and William Nylander's taken that mantle, and he did it during the regular season, and it's all just a continuation of all that. He's continued doing the playoffs, and you always wonder when things get tighter in the playoffs if guys are going to tighten up and if it's not going to be there because it's not as easy. And he's proven time and time again that nothing phases him. And that was kind of everybody was saying that post game.
It's the one goal that Bobrovsky allowed where I'm like, you maybe like a save there if you're the Panthers. But if you go and watch, it's like weirdly elusive. Like it looks like the puck is projecting towards the net twice. I think one was with his feet and it was just a knuckler from the backhand. Willie, and he's feeling it too. The crowd celebration and everything. Bring it on.
Yeah,
God, I love it.
That's how he always scores his goals, right? It's all with deception. It's never going to be something that's super crafty, but it's crafty in a simple way. It's like he's aiming one way and he just shoots at the other. Simple stuff like that.
He just like usually rips a wrister, and you're just like, oh, goalie maybe should have had that. Oh, goalie maybe should have had that. Oh, okay, maybe there's something to
maybe
this William Nylander fellow.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what? They should have stopped Alex Ovechkin.
Since you brought it up,
he always shoots from the same spot. Just stop him.
Since you brought it up, I do want to quickly touch on the Matthews versus Barkov lineup, and I guess there are people who are like mad that Matthews hasn't scored or whatever. I feel like they've done a pretty good job matching each other. They're sort of taking each other out.
How do you win a hockey game?
Scoring more goals.
Yep, Matthews' line has done that. It's 3-0 against Barkov.
Oh, is that right?
Sasha Barkov. Yeah, that was a stat from CJ. 2 Selke. Here's what you got. And if you're looking at this expecting for there to be a billion goals between these two lines, you're looking at it wrong. Carter Verhaeghe and Matthew Knies. Okay, thanks for coming out, you two. Barkov, Selke winner and nominee. Reinhart, Selke nominee. Marner, Selke nominee. Matthew, Selke nominee. These two lines are going head-to-head and not letting each other get an inch. And Matthews, who has had his lunch taken from Barkov in the regular season, is going directly in his face, head-to-head with this guy. Barkov did get a goal. It was on the power play. 5-on-5. These guys are going toe-to-toe. Matthews is carrying the defensive load there. Marner's been good in that regard. Knies has been good in that regard. But Matthews playing so down low in the Leaf zone and being so hard to beat along the wall is what has allowed Marner and Knies to carry the offensive load and so far outscore that line. Everyone leave him alone. It's Austin. Let him
He'll
cook.
figure it out.
Let him cook.
I think the other thing I kind of wanted to mention there is that I'm not sure what the expectations are supposed to be for that matchup, right? Like I would
60
expect
goals.
I expect at home Matthews is going to have a slight edge. I expect at home Barkov's going to have a slight edge, right? Like,
of course.
Last change, all that stuff.
Of course.
But this was always going to be a really hard-nosed matchup.
Didn't we talk about this before the series started? I said I think they're going to try to match top lines against each other. They're just going head-to-head.
I think I advocated because I was saying they shouldn't be line matching. Like you shouldn't be running out trying to chase matchups. You shouldn't be trying to avoid anything. And I don't think they're doing that at all. You just run your lines, you just run your 4 lines. You're not chasing any sort of matchup. And when they're out there, they're going to be up against line 1 versus line 1. Like that's how it's naturally going to occur. And that's what's going to happen. It's 2 great defensive lines going up against each other. And there's going to be very little goals. It's exactly what we should have expected.
Yeah. And the Matthews line isn't going to win that matchup every time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, hopefully they will.
Hopefully they will, but like the Barkov line's really good.
Yeah, and that's where the William Nylander scoring comes into effect, because the two first lines are kind of neutralized, so you need the scoring in the other parts of the lineup because they're going to be more free because he doesn't have to go up against Barkov.
And they got scoring from Steven Lorentz and Max Domi later that period on a 2-on-1. And Steven Lorentz needs to be given credit. That was a great pass.
On a partial break.
Yes.
That is the exact sort of thing I would scream at Max Domi for doing.
But it was a great thing. And then Max Domi doesn't hesitate. He just shoots.
Shout out Scott Lawton for protecting the puck in the neutral zone against Nate Schmidt, who he had just semi-fought. Gets it to Lorentz, who has deceptive speed for a guy his size. Please extend him for 8 years. And you know what? I think his number is what Brad Treliving should sign him to.
What's that?
8 times 1.
8.
Not 8 million times 1 year. Just give him $1 million for 8 years. Here you go, Steven.
There you go, Steven. You're a set.
Here you go. I think he gets more than that.
Yeah.
But unreal play, great finish. And Bob, like again, the expected goals numbers made it look like Bobrovsky had an awful game. He had to fly over to the other side of his net so hard that he abandoned his stick so that he could have less weight on his body and get over quicker. And he still wasn't able to do it.
Did you see the Ty Domi shot where everybody else in the crowd is up and cheering and Ty's just sitting there staring?
That is games not finished personified. Because the only time...
I wondered about that because it's his kid, right?
The only time we've seen Ty Domi smile as a spectator is when his son won it in overtime. Game's over. Nope, you just took the lead. There's more than 20 minutes left in this game. Frig off. Don't touch me.
Game's not over.
Also, fans, don't like pat him on the shoulder. Don't wave at him. Don't look at him.
Until the game's over.
Leave him alone.
If they win.
It's Ty Domi. What are you, nuts? You out of your mind? Leave him. Just leave him.
There he is.
There we go.
Yeah, everybody's cheering. He's just like, yep. And you know,
not even a smile.
No, not even.
He's been reading your lists of 100 people you would send to fight the gorilla, and he's mentally preparing to do it. He's thinking about it. He doesn't care. Like, look at everyone standing. They're losing their mind. He's sitting down. Mouth closed. Doesn't give a damn. He's angry that Max didn't score 2 on the same shift.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, no, game's not finished.
And it's you compare and contrast that with a guy like Mark Savard, who just lets out a roar every time they score a goal.
And the game's not finished thing is cool, but like you're allowed to be happy.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Of course. I think as a player, I think as a former player, though, I don't know. Like, you remember the Darcy Tucker conversation? I don't think it ever leaves you.
No, but like
right?
Max Domi was happy he scored a goal. What are you gonna tell him? Don't celebrate your goal?
There are guys who have the eyes, and they're scary. Like I've lots and lots of players. Very few active players have those eyes that I've met. Like Mark Savard I've met, doesn't have them. Colby Armstrong doesn't have them. Jason York doesn't have them. Kyprios has them a bit. He knows how to turn them off, but he has them a bit. Bob McGill is a very nice and terrifying man. Adam, you introduced me to Ty at an event at the Hall of Fame Archives at the Leafs practice facility.
Yep.
And there was a brief moment where he like Denzel Washington me, where he's staring at me with a blank face for, it could have been 5 minutes. It could have been 1.5 seconds. And then he smiles. And during that 1.5 seconds, I think he saw the back of my skull.
You were prepared for
from
that?
the inside.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's like 5 or 6 bites. 5 or 6 bites. He's looking a little heavy these days, maybe 6. 5 or 6 bites, I could finish him. Like, they have those eyes, man. Leave him alone. Leave him alone while he's watching the game.
I would like to play Ty Domi the video of himself riding his stick after he scored a goal when he played for the New York Rangers.
Oh, I love this.
He did the Tiger Williams celebration and he rode his stick down the ice. And I want to show this man this photo and say, hey, you can stand up and clap when the Leafs score a goal.
No, he got
like what?
He got scolded for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Messier told him to knock it off.
Okay.
Yeah.
He did it.
The dude
And
who
I'm
wouldn't
sure
hold a cookie
all
above
his
his head.
other goals he scored in the NHL, he walked to the bench without a smile.
He had good sellies.
Like,
He always
come
had good sellies
on.
when he
You can
scored.
stand up and clap.
He didn't have enough practice, Jesse. I think his career high was 14.
I think that Ty probably is like, I don't know this for sure, but I feel like he's probably like, you know what? Like we all need to set an example here. Like this job is not done. At least Ty's teams got to the conference finals, right?
I
Like,
think what's going on in Ty Domi's head is just ominous drums.
just war drums. Yeah.
He's just waiting for someone, the next asshole, to tap him on the shoulders. It's terrifying. Terrifying, man.
Hockey fans, BetMGM is ready for you in the second round. And it's funny because when we talked about this on Tuesday, when was the last time we did
Recently.
Recently.
Tuesday.
I don't know what day of the week it is anymore. The prevailing thought was, well, the Leafs are the underdog in this series. Now they're up 2-0. And Jesse, they're still the underdog.
Yeah, every game this series, you could bet the Leafs as an underdog going into the game because game one, they're underdogs.
Yep.
People thought Florida were going to capture game one. Game two, they win game one. People think Florida is going to get game two. They're trailing in the series. They're not going to go down 2-0. So the Leafs were the underdogs betting. And then now going to Florida, Florida's the favorite at home.
And they're at home and they're not going to get, they're going to lose three in a row.
The betting market thinks Florida's most likely to win. So every game this series so far, the Leafs have been the underdog going into the game. And if they win game three, I would imagine everybody.
You bet the underdog game
They're
four.
going to be the underdogs in
Yeah.
game four. And we could have a 7-game series. We could have a 6-game series. We could have a 5-game series where the Leafs are the underdogs in every game, but then win the series. Like, that's insane.
I'm pretty happy about that. I'm
The Leafs
all I'm
are
going to
in
say
the-
is I'm pretty happy about
That
that, my
is in
friends.
the position you want to be as a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
You want nobody rooting for you.
That's good.
You want to be the underdogs. It's great omen for the Leafs.
So sign up at BetMGM today. You'll have access to countless NHL betting options, including the new look same-game parlays, teasers, live bets, and so much more. Make every goal count in every game. And sign up, like I said, at BetMGM, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. BetMGM.com for terms and conditions to wager. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you have any questions or concerns about your gambling or somebody close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. BetMGM operates pursuant to an operating agreement with iGaming Ontario. And now, again, at the beginning of the third, well, about 5 minutes in, Anton Lundell from Ekblad and Luosterainen, and again, this line strikes. They are just that. They are effective. I don't know
Really,
what you
really
do. What you do to, but one thing I want to mention with that is Brad Marchand all game was so much yappier than he was in the first game, and he was really trying to get into William Nylander's kitchen
And Lawton.
and Scott Lawton.
Yeah, what was that about?
And I don't really know
Because it was
but-
before the hit, which we'll get to.
And I wondered a little bit. Last year, for the first time, I saw a Leaf player make Brad far less effective, and that player was Tyler Bertuzzi. Tyler went at him
Right.
all series long, and he didn't look because Brad Marchand. Let's be honest, he's owned the Leafs, own them.
Oh, yeah, controversial take.
Yeah,
man.
I know,
Like-
crazy. But last year, I thought Tyler Bertuzzi was going at him the whole time, and I thought with Lawton, it was a little like that. And I wonder with the Leafs now, because these guys are, they're not in their early 20s anymore.
No.
And Brad's 35, 36. And it's kind of like, yeah.
It's Max
like,
Pacioretty's age.
when you see Nylander skating away, you're like, he's probably just thinking like, whatever, old man. Like, you're not scary to me anymore.
Brad had a good game, though.
He did.
He did. He
I thought
had
he
a
had an
very good
excellent
game.
game.
It was he's always had a good game. It's the talk afterwards, which made him so effective, I think.
Yeah, like I look at how much that line has been effective and how much they're running around and they're just doing whatever they want. But if heading into the series, you're like, all right, Panthers' first line is mostly neutralized. The Bennett, Kachuk, Rodriguez line is fine, somewhere between fine and neutralized. The line that's eating you up is Lundell. You go, all right, I take that. How are our guys doing? Well, your top line's outscoring them. Nylander's scoring like an absolute maniac, and you're getting some depth performance. All right, like I take that. You probably win that series most of the time if it continues that way. But we're heading to Florida for games 3 and 4, so
And we'll see.
We'll see.
Now, a couple of the things that you mentioned, we touched on the refs not being great last night. I thought it was hilarious that Wes McCauley somehow got into that game as a linesman.
Honestly, good on him.
Yeah,
good
he
on
was
him.
The backup ref.
It's really difficult.
And I want to say that the Lawton hit on Evan Rodriguez, called as an embellishment, was pretty interesting. I'm not sure how.
The official call was Rodriguez embellishment, Lawton nothing. But then Schmidt attacks him. Schmidt gets roughing. Lawton gets 2 roughing penalties. And it's called 5-on-5. How did you arrive there?
Yeah, to this day, as we're sitting here, Scott Lawton still doesn't have a penalty against Evan Rodriguez.
Right.
That's nuts.
I don't know how he got
And
none.
that'll never change. Like, that's in the official
I don't know how he
count.
got none against Rodriguez and 2 against Schmidt.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Both of those are wrong.
Now, I'll say this. BX made a good point in the intermission show, and he said, "Listen, Rodriguez put himself in a bad position there.
He did.
He knew the hit was coming.
There's no situation where the hit is a 5.
No,
I thought
don't
it
think
could have
so.
been 2.
I think
Yeah,
it could have
it's
been 2
boarding.
as well. Yeah,
Like, it's
boarding.
That's the definition of boarding, is it not?
I think checking from behind, and like the difference is boarding is like a hit a dangerous distance away from the boards where you're looking at like spinal injuries and stuff like that. I think he just sort of smushed a player from behind. So I would say hitting from behind.
Player had the
All right.
puck though,
Well,
and lots of those never get called.
Yeah.
Nah, he hit him square in the numbers. Like, call a penalty.
Yeah. I could, yeah.
The other
2.
side of that
I
is
saw it as 2.
Pontus Holmberg gets crunched from behind without the puck, goes and hits a Florida defenseman, and then gets called for roughing.
Yeah. And that was the tip of the iceberg.
I mean, it was assault Pontus Holmberg night. Like the guy, I don't know what happened, but it was like they could do any. I think Seth Jones grabbed him by the head and slammed him down, and like you could just do anything.
He
to
gave
Pontus
him a
Holmberg.
headlock.
Yeah.
And like, if you're not watching these playoffs and coming away with a new appreciation for Pontus Holmberg, you're doing it wrong. This dude has taken so much abuse, an unbelievable amount of abuse. The Kulikov hit, I thought he died. I was like, well, that's it.
When he was driving the net in game 1.
Yep,
And
that's
then
it for
Kulikov
him.
just missiled him.
R.I. Pontus, and he got up and made a play on the puck immediately. You madman, you nut job. And people went up to him and he's smiling. You're a dead man and you're smiling?
So
What?
So much in the way that we can't explain the Scott Lawton Evan Rodriguez hit, I can't fully explain the Pontus Holmberg thing as well.
Maybe word got out.
Retaliation.
I kept telling everyone, stop tweeting about it. Because every year, some depth guy comes in. Well, it doesn't have to be a depth guy. Some guy's on the roster, and you're like, hey, this guy's decent at drawing penalties. And I'm like, shut up. You don't learn. You did this to Kadri, and they stopped calling it. You did this to Bunting, and you stopped calling it. Then you did it to Joey Anderson, and the Leafs got ahead of it and traded him. And now it's Pontus Holmberg, and he can't buy one.
Yep. Yeah, he's getting crunched out.
Oh, my
there.
God.
He's just getting abused. Another guy who's taken a lot of hits, I think he's leading the series in hits received, is Chris Tanev.
That makes sense.
Chris Tanev always will absorb the hit. And
I mean,
there
that's
was
just
one
good
that I think
Is that a
stung him.
stat?
That's a
They're
stat. They mentioned it on the broadcast. It was like 8 or 9 through the first
wow.
two games.
The NHL does keep that stat. Like if you look at the hit report, but when I used to look at it when I was at Sportsnet behind the scenes, I had to like do it manually. I don't.
Right. No,
I don't
like that's not something I can just sort on NHL.com.
you
right
might
now.
be able to now. I'm not totally sure. You should be able to see how many hits a guy has absorbed. And even then it won't give you the full scope because like what they categorize as a hit is inconsistent and you know.
I should never seen that category. Is all I was asking.
That's
Yeah.
No, I hadn't either. That's why I was like, hey, that's a crazy stat. I'm going to bring that up. So I wrote it down.
Verhaeghe got him good.
Yeah, he did. But he was stung and he got back on the ice. And the Leafs do then score, and it's a weird one because it's literally 18 seconds after Anton Lundell scores, Mitch Marner with a goal, who did not have a goal the entire Panthers series last time these two played.
That's not true.
So it was Matthews that didn't have a goal.
Matthews didn't have a goal.
Marner had one.
Marner had that great game 4,
Right.
where I think there were 2 goals. He scored 1 and assisted on the other.
There you go.
Yeah.
This one's from McCabe and Matthews. This one kind of just Jesse floats in, right? It's
Yeah,
sort of like a
Bob should have had it. Like, I don't like out of the 4 goals, you want 1 saved by Bobrovsky.
Yeah,
and I
that's
think
fair.
that your Stanley Cup winning goaltender lets you down in this game if you don't get a save on one of those 4 goals. And I think that's where it was lost for the Panthers, and their goaltender let them down there. And whether you want to say he should save one of the William Nylander goals or the Pacioretty tip, like this Mitch Marner one to me is the most egregious, and you got to save that. In that
knuckler.
moment where you just scored the game to score the goal to tie it up, like you need a save.
Marner fired a wrist shot with the puck flat on his stick, like flat on the blade, perfectly off the bar. And I think Jones might have taken Bob's eyes away a little.
One of those goals you got to save.
One of the 4.
Yeah, one of the 4.
Last year, he probably does. You're right.
Yeah.
now the interesting part during last night, which we wouldn't have seen on TV, but we saw it because people tweeted it. Felix the Cat Potvin came out and got the crowd fired up, Jess. And I want to know what the pop for that was like.
It was great. He wasn't the only one because Gilmore was in the building too.
Oh, Gilmore was there too?
It was Dougie and Potvin. So
Come
both
on.
of them got huge rounds of applause. Yeah.
Well, I thought the Potvin one was apropos because later in the game, after Marner scores, the Leafs are up. Joseph Woll makes a Felix the Cat stretch save on Samoskevich. I thought it was in. I think everybody thought it was in, but it was a toe save, and the puck just sails slightly ajar of the net.
I think what made this save most reminiscent of Felix Potvin was no Leaf defenseman in sight.
Yes.
That
no
poor
question.
guy had such a tough career in the blue and white. What a save on Mackie Samoskevich, who I somehow didn't realize wasn't even in game 1. But he had some really good chances in this game. You can see he's an important player. Panthers have depth, man. This thing's not over, but what a
Woll had a
friggin'
great
save.
game. Like
Yeah.
Woll did.
And there was
He
a lot.
did.
Okay, let me ask you this, guys, because one of the things I don't understand, we talked about in the pre-show, Jess, there was a lot of apprehension about Joseph Woll coming into this. And last year it was like, oh, there's our sweet boy. And oh, wow, he kicked ass and he kept us in the series against Boston, which he did.
Yeah.
100%.
He's the only reason that series won 7.
He was crazy.
Only
He let in like
singular.
a goal.
Singular.
But I'm trying to figure out why there was apprehension. I know Anthony Stolarz has been good, but if you look at Joseph Woll's numbers, they've been comparable all season long. What is it where people sort of just forgot?
about Joseph Woll.
Yeah,
well, he
like
didn't
what-
play for 3 weeks, right?
I guess, but
Like,
no, but I mean, it started before that. I think.
I've spoken to people directly, like at the source. I've spoken to goalie experts, and there's something in Woll's game that it doesn't live up. He's not Anthony Stolarz. That's the biggest crime he commits. Is when you look at his driver's license, it says Joseph Woll and not Anthony Stolarz. This guy was incredible for the Leafs last year. He was very, very, very strong during the regular season. It's just Stolarz is a far more visually fun goalie. Way more. Like, he's a 6'7" breakdancer who will beat the crap out of you also in the net. And listen, he had the second highest save percentage in the NHL. He had a better season. But yeah, it didn't take much time. People completely forgot how good Joseph Woll is.
Jesse, did you feel like in morning skate yesterday that the team had forgotten?
About Joseph Woll?
Yeah.
No. The team doesn't forget. Like all those narratives are so fan driven. They're so media driven. Like they have confidence in both those goaltenders because they played with them all year long, and both of them have been really good, and they won a division. They were one of the more successful Leafs teams we've seen in recent memory, and they like both those goaltenders, and they're not afraid to play either of them.
I think it's got to be a difficult adjustment for the team just because even though they're both good goalies, they're very different goalies. I hate when Woll plays the puck a lot. It makes me so nervous. Stolarz, I've grown to appreciate how good he is at it. It scares the crap out of me, but he's a way more. They're both American, but Joseph Woll is definitely more, I would say, of the American program. Like, he is exactly the kind of goalie that the U.S. program churns out.
Which is what?
Just ultra dialed positionally and can give you some really athletic saves, but position comes first, second, and third. whereas Stoller's is a little bit more of the just get in front of it. Ilk.
Yeah. More Cujo than Belfour, I would say. Because Belfour was a little
nuts too.
Well,
Cujo
less
was
than Cujo. Less nuts than Cujo.
If you go back and watch Cujo, it's a miracle he won a game. Like, what a madman. Once when I was at Leafs TV, I had to this is back when they had all those giant beta tapes and they were slowly converting them to digital. And I had to make a pack for an old playoff series because the Leafs at that point hadn't made the playoffs in eons. And so we were just looking for content. I know the Leafs win this game. It happened 10, 15 years ago. And it was giving me heart palpitations. Never in position, never not once. Ever. Never in position, never not once.
And he just makes the saves.
And he just makes the saves. That's why we loved him.
Sergei Bobrovsky versus the Maple Leafs in the playoffs. This is from Luke Fox. 5 games in 2023, allowed 10 goals. Leafs didn't score more than 2 in any of those games, which is crazy. And in 2025, 9 goals in 2 games.
9 goals in 2 games.
Listen, if I had told you going into this series, like, a few nights ago, that the Leafs would have 9 goals in 2 games against Bobrovsky, we'd be like, great, the series is tied 1-1. That's fantastic. Right?
Yeah, probably.
Right? Like so one of the things that Jesse and I talked about on the pre-show yesterday is like, how do you keep the goals coming? Going into Florida, how do you keep the goals coming, guys?
That is a great question. They've done a good job spreading the ice out against the Panthers. The one thing, like, I hated the start for the Leafs in the first and in the second because the Panthers did a good job of getting away from the Leafs. Leafs were sticky on them in the defensive zone. But one thing the Leafs have done well so far through 2 games is I thought the slower this series was, the better it would be for Toronto. It's actually been the opposite. Because when these 2 teams are trading chances, the Leafs appear to have the advantage so far. And there's a few guys who haven't even really put up points, and I think they're having great series so far. Bobby McMahon looks great. Matthews looks great.
Scott Laughton.
In my opinion. Scott Laughton looks great. Lorentz finally got on the board with an assist. All 4 lines are generating, though. And that's a tough thing to shut down. Like, they got Ekblad back, and it didn't seem to make much of a difference. And if I'm the Panthers, that's what's giving me pause. And if I'm the Leafs, that's what's making me feel real, real good.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe he'll do some more flying forearms into people's heads and go, I didn't mean to.
One thing, so this is going to be more difficult in Florida to do. They have been targeting the hell out of Dmitry Kulikov, and they've been targeting the hell out of Nate Schmidt.
So I've noticed that. And just to jump in here, I've noticed that the Leafs are finishing every check, grinding every check. And I know that sometimes, I think Panthers even out-hit them in the first game, but it seemed like the Panthers do that to other teams, right? They soften you up so that by game 7, you can't skate.
Got nothing left.
It seems like that's what the Leafs are trying to do here.
Well, listen, the Panthers don't have a ton of weak links, but if you can identify one, I mean, that's what every good predator in the Serengeti does. Like, you got to go after the weak links. You got to. Kulikov looks like he's playing banged up. Schmidt, I don't know, maybe his skating's a touch behind or whatever it is. We know he can score, but in his own end, he struggled. Part of me wonders if Balinskis gets into a game.
Well, he did. He scored in the first game.
Now that Ekblad is back.
Yep.
But what do you do? Do you scratch Nate Schmidt? Do you scratch Dmitry Kulikov? Probably not. I don't know. But if you're Paul Maurice, I know you were saying you don't hide from the matchups. Maybe you do with your pairs a little bit more than your forward groups because they're eating those guys up.
Yeah, but scared money don't make money. Like, Paul Maurice isn't worried about the matchups about the Leafs. Like, he's just playing the same system that they play all season long.
He doesn't need to put his hair out.
Put his hair out?
Yeah, that's a Paul Maurice quote.
Is it?
He's like, oh, everyone's hair's on fire about Sam Bennett.
2 days ago when we did the show, guys. And I'll set this up by saying sometimes when you break up with somebody, you go through a breakup in life, the best revenge is living well, right? Okay. Sometimes in the playoffs, the best revenge is not this, it's playing well. Mm-hmm. And Sam Bennett was a -2 last night. His face-off winning percentage, which was horrible in the first game, got worse again.
It did?
Yeah, so he was at like 35, 36% when I talked to you last time.
Yeah.
He's now at 33.9%. And that's
wow.
most of the wins that he has had in the face-off dot happened against Tampa.
So he must have lost a few down the stretch.
Yes.
Because it was a little better when I was paying attention to it in game. Wow.
And that's about right on line with the Panthers and the Leafs, like going head to head. I think it's about 60-40 right now in the series. Well, it was last game. At least.
And I know like a lot of people want a revenge over Sam Bennett.
Is this not revenge? Sure
it
feels like
it feels a lot better.
Feels better than revenge.
Feels pretty good. Also, like Sam Bennett, like can beat your ass. Like
yeah,
I don't know.
Did you see last night though, guys? Whenever he got in and around the net, he skated right away. Like he didn't. There was some hesitations where I think previously he would have just run right through. But because of what happened in game one, I thought I saw Sam Bennett hesitating a little bit around the net because he knows there are eyes on him. You do that again, you're gone. You're gone.
Well, I wouldn't have been surprised if they called something on him. But you know what was very funny? Did you see the very next night after he took out Stolarz, the goalie interference call against Edmonton?
Which one?
Oh, what a league. Well, exactly. It was Connor Brown getting his hips pushed into...
Yes, that one.
I think it was Aiden Hill.
Yep.
It's very inconsistent. But we know the hive mind speaks. And I wonder if there was a little bit of, let's watch for the goalies tonight. So maybe Bennett got that memo. Or I just don't... I don't think the Panthers, when he was out there, really got pucks in a dangerous position or had the puck at the point or were able to cycle it well. And I think part of that has been Matthew Tkachuk hasn't been all that effective.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's probably not at 100%. Bennett battled an injury too. I wonder about both those players. But again, you hear the hesitance in my voice. They're going back to Florida. It's going to be tough.
Yeah. Patches has 2 back-to-back 2-point games. And Jesse, I'm so glad you caught this on your Twitter. There were 3 fake puck drops to start the third period. And I was just
the ref he just wouldn't drop that puck. It was ridiculous.
What is it with that, man? Like I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's waiting for like actual hockey things to happen. Like they have to be lined up in a certain way. There are actually protocols to a face-off and how it works. Like the NHL is the highest league in the world. They want the face-offs to be the most fair as possible. So he is waiting for them to do the appropriate stuff because they've been taking face-offs all their life. So they know how to line up for it, and they're trying to cheat. So he's trying to do his job, but it's not about you. Drop the puck.
Yeah, drop the puck. Yeah, especially
to start a period. Getting fake puck drops is ridiculous.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny when you go back, like you can see now Leafs playoffs games that are probably illegally uploaded onto YouTube, and you can go back and you can watch. Like I watched a Leafs San Jose series once, just in the background while I was doing work, and from 1994, I think it was this.
Is that the one round with the shark going up and down Carlton? The shark fin?
I think so.
And then the camera goes to Cherry. What are you afraid of sharks or something? He makes this weird face. Yeah.
So. What's interesting about the face-offs back then is that they are essentially full rugby scrum before the pucks even dropped.
The sport's unrecognizable.
Like they are like entangled with each other. Like I'm surprised any face-off ever took place.
If you're ever talking to an old head, like I saw on TikTok, people were making fun of like older people going, "Oh, today's game's soft." Mm-hmm. Today's game's not soft. It's just a different game, like entirely.
Yeah, I don't think it's soft. You look at the injuries these guys played through. I don't think it's soft.
No, it was just the jersey tugging Olympics.
Yes.
Like forget the beating the crap out of each other and all the slashes with wooden sticks. It was just they were just pulling on each other's clothes.
Oh, aluminum sticks.
They
used to have aluminum sticks, and they used to hit so hard that the skate blades would get dull if they knocked against them. I remember guys having to get off the ice and they would have to take their skate off because you couldn't pop the blades out.
Nope.
And get them resharpened. Or you'd see them with the stone on the bench trying to, it was crazy. Now, Jesse, post game, obviously you're at the press conferences there.
Mm-hmm.
What stood out to you on either side in terms of quotes or attitudes or anything? Was there anything?
Berube's praise of William Nylander is the thing that stood out the most, because like he said kind of what everybody's been wanting to say about Willie, and when he shows up and like when he's performing like this, everybody kind of has the same thing about Willie, is that he's the guy who can live up to the hype of a Toronto hockey player. I don't remember when was the last time we had a guy like this who's so unfazed with the media and performs at the highest level in the playoffs. Like during this Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares era, nobody has stepped up and been that guy, and Berube went out of his way to extend praise onto William Nylander and have like an extended answer on him and how good he is in these moments. And he talked about how he's unfazed and how he thrives for those spots as well. Like in his quote, he talks about how he goes to those moments. He wants to be the guy with the puck on his stick when the game is on the line, when we need that goal. And he has frankly not said that about any other player on the Leafs. And it speaks to who Willie is and how he's performing here in this entire season.
I was trying to think back to the early 2000s, and as good as those players were, they didn't exactly have a reputation for being awesome with the media or like loving the attention. The closest I can think of, and this still probably isn't very good, is Gary Roberts. He uploaded a video to his Instagram where he talked about the attention he got in Toronto, and it kept him honest. Like it kept him dialed. And then when he went to Florida, because ironically, Roberts was both a Panther and a Leaf. With the lack of attention, you can actually take your foot off the gas. Now, Florida doesn't have that now. They're the reigning Cup champs.
Yeah, this is previous.
Yeah. You're going to get attention no matter what, but yeah, you can take your foot off the gas. You can't do that here, which can be exhausting. I get it.
Being in San Jose, we learned that there's two mentalities to it, because when you're down there, there's less media attention. Your lifestyle is easier. The guys joked about how being in San Jose made them soft, because we talked to a couple Ontario-born kids, and they were like, the weather, it just made me so soft. I can't go back. And like, you can thrive in that environment as well, because you have all of the leisure stuff and you got away from the rink and it's easy to perform in that way. Or you can have the other mentality where you want the constant pressure all the time. Just it matters about which environment you like to thrive in. So Willie's definitely the guy who loves the pressure and loves the spotlight.
It's an exciting time. Toronto up 2-0, 2 series in a row. If I had told you that coming into these playoffs, I think we all would have thrown the parade already. So we're thrilled. But again, after this, back to work, right? It's sort of, and I know the players are already in that mindset, right? It says
Game 3.
Yeah.
Business trip.
Oh, you won 2. If you win, ask the LA Kings how they felt about being up 2-0. It doesn't matter. You got to win the series.
Yeah, the Vegas-Dallas series from last year where Vegas goes up 2-0 on Dallas on the road.
On the road. And you're like, there's no way Dallas wins this series.
I was like, Vegas has to win 2 of the next 4 games, and they got a couple at home. They're going
2 of the next 5.
2 of the next 5, sorry, and 3 of those are going to be at home, and they couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it.
So series is definitely not over.
Listen, Steve has been manifesting a win before every game with Boston Pizza. How's that working out for you? How's your manifesting record?
Oddly well.
Oddly well?
Ridiculously
the Leafs
well.
have been good.
Yes, that helps.
Yeah.
That helps the Leafs.
They only
have
got
been
2 losses this whole playoff.
But you might argue that it's because of Steve's manifesting and potentially this spray.
Yeah,
Jesse.
the championship room spray that I have in my hand, courtesy of Boston Pizza, it embodies the bold spirit of victory. Because if we can smell it, we can win it. You want to hear what's in it? It's got notes of bubbly champagne, cheap lager, sweaty hockey gear, used hockey pucks, and the indescribable scent of 32 years of pent-up Canadian frustration. Steve, you need this so that we can manifest a championship coming back to Canada. Give me your armpits. Oh my God, I got some all over my hands. I shook it a little too much.
Hit me.
Spritz him.
Give me 2.
No, other armpit now.
Oh, okay. There we go.
There you go.
Oh, it smells good over there. Oh yeah, it smells like a bit of a dressing room.
Yeah,
for sure.
it smells like championship is what it smells like.
So visit your local Boston Pizza. And by the way, check out If We Plan It, We Will Win.ca, because Boston Pizza is not only the place to watch the game. I saw Jim Treliving's tweet last night.
Oh.
He said, pizza's hot, beer's cold. Go Leafs go. Watch a game at
Can I
Boston
tease
Pizza.
our next ad read for Boston Pizza?
Sure, why?
You guys are going to eat some wings.
Are we really?
Yeah.
Are they going to taste like
you
that
don't,
champagne
you don't know
spray,
what's coming, but you guys are going to eat some wings.
When?
Oh, I love it.
It's coming.
Woo! Exciting. All right. Anyway, check out Boston Pizza and check out If We Plan It, We Will Win.ca. This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Listen, sometimes in the playoffs, you get your heart broken and you need someone to talk to that isn't your family because they're tired of hearing you cry. Or it could be anything in your life, honestly. And that's why we recommend using BetterHelp. We all use therapy. We all do it. And one of the challenges you run into with therapy is that it's hard to book. It takes weeks to find a therapist, that sort of thing. BetterHelp, you can get this in 48 hours and it works within your schedule. It can be a phone call, it can be text, it can be video chat, and it's all hours of the day. So it works around your schedule. Maybe you have to put the kids to bed, that sort of thing.
We should have BetterHelp therapists analyze Steve's LFRs.
Ooh.
And they say, look, what does this guy need?
Therapist reacts.
Yeah.
I don't think I
Therapist
want
reacts.
the answers. I don't want the answers.
See, it's like with the heart rate monitor. You didn't want the answers to that too.
Nope.
No.
Oh, it's what we all feared.
Right.
Oh,
wow,
heavens.
it's crazy. The heart rate keeps going up. So anyway, if you want to check it out, BetterHelp is fully online, affordable, convenient therapy serving 5 million people worldwide, 300,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties. Visit BetterHelp.com/STP and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/STP. Jets and Stars kicked things off. Their game one was last night. And as I told you, William Nylander did finish last night's game, tied for the lead with Connor McDavid in points in the playoffs. And guess who beat him?
There's not a ton of teams whose season can get worse now that they've been eliminated. Colorado's one of them.
That's a good way to put that. There is a Sakic quote I want to get to later on, so don't go too heavy on that. But
Dude, Rantanen followed up back-to-back games with 4 points in a single period with back-to-back hat tricks. What an animal. He beat the Jets on his own.
yes,
Do you understand?
with Jason Robertson back in the lineup too.
Yeah, and the top line is him, Hintz, and Robertson. What do you do? What's the game plan? I can't believe they only won by a goal. What is the game plan there against the Stars?
Winnipeg played a good game.
They did.
They did.
Yeah.
And it wasn't enough on home ice. The Leafs are, if I'm not mistaken, they're the only team with home ice advantage to win so far in the second round. Caps lost. Vegas lost. Jets lost. What world is this?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, the home teams went 0-4 in the second round to start.
That's crazy.
No.
Over.
Oh, sorry. 1 for
3.
1 and 3.
Yes.
The Leafs aren't on the receiving
I
end of
thought
these stats. It's crazy.
the game was really close. Winnipeg did a great job in that first period, not allowing Dallas to run up the score, because for the first 10 minutes of the thing, shots were 8-1. It was all Dallas, and Hellebuck did a great job keeping them in. And like a couple of those Rantanen goals, you want them back from a defensive side if you're Winnipeg.
Yes.
Like, I don't blame Hellebuck on any of those goals. Logan Stanley, he like kicks one in himself. Like, it goes off his own foot and he tips it by Hellebuck. And then the other one where Rantanen is falling to the ice and you allow him to make a play when you're guarding him in front of the ice. Like, you can't do that. So Winnipeg, like, they're very close in that game, but like, they need to tighten things up defensively. They haven't made it good this entire playoffs. Like, that Blue series, they had some ugly defensive performances and they haven't been great defensively.
I wondered part of that, because obviously Scheifele, who scored last night and looked really good, Logan Stanley and Josh Morrissey, Logan Stanley couldn't even play Game 7. Josh Morrissey left Game 7. You kind of wonder, Jess, that there's going to be a lot of responsibility that falls on guys like Neil Pionk to really shut the door, because Morrissey is not at 100%. Logan Stanley isn't. That and Logan Stanley, Jets fans love him and hate him, depends on the night. But a guy like that not playing at 100% presents an issue, right? Because he is a third pairing guy, and he's big, and that matters in the playoffs. He's got the big arm reach, or whatever the Gandalf you shall not pass sort of thing. But if he's not at 100%, and especially if it affects his mobility, that's a problem.
It's a huge problem. And I think the biggest problem the Jets have, who are you throwing in front of Mikko Rantanen to shut him down physically?
Oh, I don't know.
There's a reason he's called Moose. He's friggin' huge.
And you could see that around the net all night last night. Jesse's talking about that first period. You noticed Rantanen. You noticed 96 in that 8-1 run. And credit to the Jets. I think they finished the period tied up in shots. But that Rantanen was everywhere.
Pionk's not big. Morrissey's not big. Shen is big, but is that the matchup?
I don't think so, because I don't think he's fleet of foot enough.
Stanley's big. Is that the matchup?
I don't think so. Same reasons.
This isn't a great matchup for the Jets. They're in tough.
No, they're getting bullied too much on when the Dallas Stars have the puck, and like we're talking about who's matching up on the I talked about the 2 goals. The third one is the Rantanen tip where he
power play
tips it past Hellebuck, and it's a shot from Harley, and it's a spectacular play. And on him is Colin Miller. And like those are the matchups you're trying to have out there. It's like, okay, who's trying to guard Rantanen, and he's never been handling everybody.
Defensive.
You know, like that's who you had trying to block him from doing this amazing backwards tip, you know, and Winnipeg couldn't handle it.
And I'm gonna go on a limb here. I think other players for Dallas might score in game 2.
Right.
This is a really hard series.
So this is what I want to ask.
It's difficult.
For the Jets to win, we saw what Dallas needs to do to win. They need to have one of their stars, and there's like 6 of them, go off.
Yep.
For the Jets to win, it feels like it comes down to Connor Hellebuck for me. It really is. They're going to have to goaltender their way through this series, because I don't know that they have the horses on defense and the health.
They got to be efficient with their chances.
Yes, but I feel like with Hellebuck, he's got to be a bit otherworldly.
Yeah, but I don't like. There's nothing he could do on any of those 3 goals.
Yeah,
I don't know what you do when your own player's tipping it past you.
That's
like,
difficult.
or Rantanen's on the floor in front of the net shoveling it past you. Like, it's really hard. The Jets aren't making it easy for Connor Hellebuck.
Right.
There's 2 types of playoff loss mentally. We should have had that. And how on earth do we get it next time? This, I think, is the second one. We should have had that. That's a heartbreaker. That's allowing a goal with 1.6 seconds to go.
Yeah.
And you could win the series. You know, if we had only done this, if we had only done that. This one, you got to take the positives from game 1 and go, okay, how on earth do we steal one at home?
Yeah.
Before heading to Dallas.
Because it feels like an impossible task, because you look at the other end and it's like, okay, so if we can't stop them, we'll try and outscore them.
Yeah.
And they got a whole bunch of great chances on Ottinger, and he made a bunch of spectacular saves. Like, Ottinger was on his game, and Winnipeg had the advantage in the shot counter after that weird first period where they allowed everything. Like, they got back into it by the end of the first, and they couldn't beat him. They beat him twice. But like,
somehow
they need to generate some sort of offense there to try and outscore their problem.
I think they can do that. I think they can do that.
Move your feet,
Hopefully.
Get power plays. You got a lethal power play.
Yeah.
See, there you go. We're problem solving.
Yeah.
It's a really hard series.
Well, it just felt like when the Oilers, and we'll get to them, doubled down on what they were, which is we score goals. Hey, we're the Oilers. We score goals. Then it was like, okay, well, the rest of it be damned. We score goals.
The Oilers are the knight in battle who drops all his armor to pick up a second sword. And there's
and it's a 2-handed sword too.
And also he killed the same knight 4 years in a row. Both parties are very confused.
It's true
about the man.
King actually.
King, sorry.
Killed the king 4 times.
Hey.
So yeah, I think that's going to be a fun series, evenly matched, exciting, and Winnipeg's going to win a few games. They had a great night last night.
It's really hard to sweep.
I want to talk a little bit about the Edmonton Vegas series, because almost immediately, and by the way, I'm doing the watch along for it tonight. Almost immediately,
Hooray!
Vegas is up a couple goals, and one of the things I keep referencing this game, and I got to look up the game, but there was this Vancouver Canucks game. You're going to get tired of me hearing it. The Canucks are at home. I think it's game 5. And they tie the game 3-3 with 3 minutes to go. And it's crazy in there. Is it Rogers Place? Which Rogers is it? Rogers Arena? I don't know.
I think it's Rogers Arena.
And it goes berserk in there. The puck is dropped. 20 seconds later, Leon Draisaitl scores. And I remember doing that watch along and going, that is a veteran move. Because I don't care that you just scored. I'm just going to go do that.
It's a killer move.
It's killer. And the Edmonton Oilers have won 5 straight come from behind games in a row in these playoffs. I said straight and in a row to emphasize that point. That is an NHL record. It has never happened before. And the entire game against Vegas, it just seemed Edmonton was completely unbothered.
Oh,
We're not bothered by you at all. Don't care.
Vegas, listen, you already hired the guy from General Manager. Put me on the payroll. I'm going to give you the greatest advice of your career. Score second. What are you, stupid? Stop getting the lead on the Oilers. Stop giving them an excuse. They thrive on it. You see it happen every time. They get down 1 and they're like, it's not enough. They get down 2 and they're like, And then they get 1. And they tie it. It's not enough. And then their bloodlust can't be satiated until the game is done. And they're the weirdest team in hockey and have been for years.
Vegas had the exact start you'd want. Goal 2 minutes and 13 seconds in. On the power play, Mark Stone from Carlson and Theodore. And then 7 minutes later, it's Mark Stone from Jack Eichel.
And before you talk about those two things, those 2 goals, 2 things. Arena is Vancouver. Place is Edmonton.
Damn.
Arena is Vancouver Place.
And then I was sent this from our Discord about this hockey game you keep referencing. Because K-Town 2272 says, I think Adam created a hockey game that doesn't exist.
No, I didn't.
He keeps mentioning the Oilers on the road getting scored on, then Draisaitl scoring to get it back, but that never happened. I think he's talking about Game 4, which was a home game where the Canucks tied it with under 2 minutes to go, and then Bouchard gave them the lead less than a minute later. Is this what you're talking about?
No, I'll look it up. I swear to God it happened, and it was Leon. Did I Pierre Maguire this?
I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
It is the children who are wrong.
I don't know if that's the Vancouver thing you're talking about, but I was sent that from K-Town on our Discord server.
My point is,
So you might have been
having the best
You
time.
might have
my
been,
point is they've won 5 straight come from behind victories.
you might have made up a game.
I don't think I did.
Okay.
I was there. I saw it with my own 2 eyes.
I don't know.
I'm gonna look up that whole damn series and find out.
You should.
I am. Let's get back to it though. Vegas, like I said, has the start they want to have. Corey Perry, who is playing top line minutes with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
What year is it?
I know,
It's so funny.
This is a guy that's won a Hart Trophy.
Yep.
This is a guy that scored 50 goals. This is a guy that had to carry the offensive load. This is the easiest first line shifts he's ever taken in his whole life.
Won a Hart Trophy during the first Obama administration, like a very long time ago.
Yeah. Was it 09? I feel like
10.
10. Okay.
Or was it? It might have been 11. 10 or 11. I think it was 10. Anyway.
Whatever. You made it up.
Doesn't matter. I made it up. He tied it up.
No, forget getting
with 3
things
minutes
correct.
to go. Yeah, no, we're over that. We're in a post-truth world. I don't give a good gosh darn.
Exactly. Yeah.
He reinvented his career by turning himself into this really competent depth guy. But if you actually look at his goal totals from this season, I think he scored almost 20 goals. That's not a depth guy.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a guy that scores goals.
If you give him the opportunity, he can.
You know, I hate to say it, Kyle Dubas really messed up. I loved Wayne Simmons as a Leaf, but he had a chance to sign Corey Perry or Wayne Simmons.
I will die on the hill.
And Wayne was the right call at the time.
Wayne
he was the better player.
was 1,000,000% the right call at the time.
I can't blame Kyle for it.
So it was 2 genuinely broken players.
Yep.
Their bodies were battered and broken. But in the years leading up to the Leafs signing Simmons instead of Perry, Simmons was objectively better. Much, much, much better.
Yep.
Simmons is retired and our age.
Perry's got 20 goals.
And Perry is older and better. Like, he's improving as time goes.
Mm-hmm. Changed his game. Kind of like, there are some guys that really do reinvent themselves. I think of a guy like Corey Perry is a perfect example. Oliver Ekman-Larsson is not the guy he was in his 20s.
No.
And, offensive dynamo and basically all the offense in Phoenix, and it was Phoenix back then, came out of him. Now he is nasty. He can still score. We've seen it. But he's kind of nasty and big and plays well defensively in a way that I don't even think Canucks fans saw when he was there. That was not his
no.
No, I don't. Now,
And the thing with that goal is, like, we talked about the depth scoring in this lineup and getting production out of players that aren't Connor and Leon, but like the 2 of them set up that play. Like that was McDavid entering the zone after a pass from Leon, and he makes it so easy for Corey Perry. And the guys around those 2 have learned to just like be in position. Connor McDavid's going to get you the puck in an easy spot for you to score. And Corey Perry with his like 2,000,000% IQ, hockey IQ. He knows how to finish, and he knows, like, I'm gonna have the easiest job in the world, get a pass from Connor McDavid, and I can just stand in front and slide it past the goaltender.
It's like Pacioretty. Maybe the speed goes, but the hand-eye doesn't.
No, and like
right?
the intelligence.
Yeah.
And those two have found a way to get depth scoring by making it easy for the depth and doing their jobs just expertly, not taking over the games themselves, but taking it over for the rest of their teammates. And it's scary.
Yeah.
Jesse, remember at the Easter Seals tournament when Chris Chelios just told me to go to the net?
That's what it feels like. No,
He he kept trying to set me up, and he's like, this guy's useless.
No.
So he just told me to stand in front, and he put one off my skate.
Like, what Connor and Leon are doing right now is the equivalent of Chris Chelios trying to bank one off Steve's butt
And he did it.
and put it in the net. Like, he's saying, Steve, just go there, I'll shoot it, and you don't have to do anything. I'll put it in a goal for you.
At a non-contact charity tournament.
The next one, the two goals that bring them back in the game, let's tie this 2-2, is Connor McDavid coming up the ice on the right side of the ice. He turns around, he finds Bouchard at the dot. Bouchard sends it in front of Leon. Like, the three of them just kind of connecting, and like Connor's like, okay, I'll do the work for everybody else. I'll get the puck deep into the zone, and then you guys finish it off and score for me. And like, they're just handling it so easy, and not just scoring for themselves, but scoring for the entire team.
McDavid scores goals the way the Tide like drowned swimmers. Like, it's just it's just this overwhelming power and speed that backs you up. And he can either just burn straight through you and score himself or set someone up, or you're all bunched up worrying about the greatest player on earth. And Evan Bouchard, it's target practice. There are probably other defensemen who can do what he does.
No.
And I'm not, no.
Those defensemen are Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes. That's it.
But
Offensively.
Bouchard has this gift of a shot. It's a gift. And more time and space to do whatever he wants with it than probably any counterpart in the world. Who has more time and space than this guy? Who everyone is terrified. He's like, any given shift, he's the third or fourth most intimidating Oiler offensively.
Right.
So it's to pick your poison. Stop scoring first. Also, stop scoring first.
Like, I assume you'll get to the rest of the game.
Yes,
And
yeah.
The other two are actually depth goals.
Well-
by guys who, like, you want. That's what you want. The Hyman goal and the Brown goal.
So Leon ties it up early in the third, right? Less than a minute in. But the Hyman goal is kind of nuts because there is, again, that third, Evander Kane being in this lineup, it changed the playoffs for them.
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
Have they lost a game?
No, I don't think they have. And it's allowed them to sort of roll three lines. And you look at this, and this is from Evander Kane, right? So you could see him.
He sent this to you?
Evander Kane did not send this to me,
Oh.
but look at him find Hyman, boom, goal. And the thing that we forget about Evander Kane, because there are some distractions when it comes to this player.
John Klingberg congratulating Zach Hyman after a goal.
From Evander Kane.
Yo.
It's crazy. What a time. The vision that he has when he's healthy and he's dialed, the vision, the forecheck, everything that Evander Kane brings to a lineup, it's pretty crazy. Like that, the fact that they can roll him out on line 3 is nuts.
Absurd.
That's an absurd. I mean, imagine we get an Edmonton Dallas offensive off. Like, there's going to be 20 goals a game, guys.
I mean, if you're asking me to throw a $2 Steve down, that's what I'm betting on.
Just a bunch of goals.
That's what I put in my Spark bracket. But Hyman on that goal, I got to say, when he was completely going off last year, everyone's doing skits about him just like tapping it in. I don't know when it happened, but he's developed a ridiculous shot.
Because every year he develops something about his game and makes himself better.
I
mean, I can remember a time in Toronto when he had stone hands. Like,
he
could not finish a thing.
He got more chances than maybe anyone on the team. Couldn't bury it to save his life.
But he worked on it.
And he's probably scored like 250 goals since. Like, he's good.
Then lastly, and this is where, the game's starting to get closer. When's Vegas going to pull the goalie? And Connor Brown, who has 4 goals in these playoffs. Connor Brown.
He didn't have that all last season.
And, yeah, he didn't have
all last
he
season.
It's not only that he scores this goal, but it's that he burns both Vegas defenders and sort of basically turns them inside
Well, he has
out.
2 functioning legs now.
Helps.
It helps big time. The Oilers organization has been really good at identifying broken toys to put back together. And he's been their latest one.
I look at I know that they have done that. That's a really good point. That's a really good point. With him scoring though, the look on his face, just the roar, he was. Yeah, I don't think he's got the crazy eyes you were talking about earlier in the show, but he does have.
He's determined.
There's passion there.
And he scored in Game 7 of the Cup final, I think, to tie it. This guy has the fire in his eyes, and you know how I know the Oilers are probably going to win this series? We didn't mention their goaltender once.
Doesn't matter.
How many games this series or in these playoffs has the Oilers goaltending not been a factor at all?
I mean, that was the least amount of goals they've allowed in a game this playoffs.
They're going to get Ekholm back, and all bets are off.
Yikes. That's
all bets are off.
Scary. That'll be
but
that won't be till third round, right?
If it happens at all. I don't know. If
they have to win the series.
If this series goes 7,
he's in.
They know what Advil is. They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out. They always do.
And then to finish off sort of the playoff roundup here.
With the Oilers, the most impressive thing, like you're mentioning the goaltender, like we don't talk about Pickard at all. They allowed one shot in the whole second period. That game that the Golden Knights were chasing from the beginning of the third on when Leon scores, it was a couple of seconds in or whatever, like a minute in. The Golden Knights had 10 even strength shots all game. Like the score effect should have been ridiculously in favor of the Golden Knights. In
Vegas?
Yeah.
It was in Vegas, yeah.
No Ekholm in Vegas.
And you're chasing that game because they tied up 2-2, and you know that the Oilers aren't just going to put up 2 on the board. You need that fourth goal to beat the Oilers, and they couldn't get anything to the net.
Weirdest team in hockey.
They had 17 shots in a game. 7 come with the man advantage, and 10 only come in even strength when you're tied and then you're trailing throughout the entire third period. Great defensive performance from Edmonton. It deserves a ton of credit. That on top of their great offense. Who cares who's in net? And Steve, do you want to play net for the Oilers? Because they're going to make it really easy on you.
I'll do it.
There you go.
I can't be worse than I am in EASHL. I'm probably better in real life. That's how bad I am in the games.
Those games are impossible.
They are hard.
They're very hard.
Vegas out-hit them. Vegas had less penalties. They scored on the power play. Edmonton didn't. They had less giveaways. They had more blocked shots, and they still could not stop the monster that is the Edmonton Oilers. And by the way, Connor McDavid didn't score, but he split the D a couple times, and I'm like, he is going to score a lot. He's just, you could feel it bubbling under the surface. Like I know he's tied for second in playoff scoring right now. That ain't going to last.
It's like The Walking Dead. And the Kings fell asleep on guard duty, and now they're just going to overrun the continent. It's the Oilers. They're alive, brains. They were dead. They were dead and done.
Yep.
The whole organization was going to go hamster Huey and the gooey kablooey, and now I'm like, yeah, they're going to make the final.
Yep,
they
absolutely.
might.
Steve, how clean is the Mazda 3 right now?
It's sparkling.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Is it actually?
Well, I mean, listen, it's Jesse. Just on the cleanometer.
Yes.
How would you rate Steve's vehicle?
Depends on if he has scraped off the bumper sticker that he put on years ago. And then he's like, oh, I don't want this thing on my car anymore. And then there's residue from the bumper sticker on your car for like 8 years.
I don't have that anymore.
But you traded it in the car, and that's the only way you got rid of the bumper sticker.
Yeah,
yep, work smarter, not harder.
You gave the dealership this scraped bumper sticker car.
No, I gave it to my sister-in-law.
Oh, there you go. So she's driving around with it.
Great guy.
Is the bumper sticker still on that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It might be.
Did she use silver wax to get it off?
Yeah.
We haven't
She
mentioned.
sure did.
I don't think we've mentioned silver wax yet. And we're like a
probably
minute
ought
in.
to.
Listen, whether you clean once a week or once a year.
Yeah.
Silver Wax has been proudly Canadian since 1999. Great car cleaners, but also work on things like boats, ATVs, camper trailers, RVs, whatever it is. We're featuring right now the Nano Diamond Ceramic Quick Wax and the Insect Remover, important for your outdoor toys. Silver Wax takes absolute care of your car and or fun vehicle. Find Silver Wax products at your local Canadian Tire. Go to silverwax.ca and use the promo code SDPN10 at checkout to save 10% off your next order. Again, it's silverwax.ca, SDPN10. The Hurricanes and Capitals are playing again tonight at 7 o'clock, and the first game went about as Hurricanes and Capitals as you'd think.
It doesn't live up to the standard of the other three.
It really was boring. I did watch the game. It was boring as hell, and I'll be honest, Washington was barely in it. I mean, they did not get any shots, but don't let the shot counter fool you, because Carolina loves an outside shot. They love a flutterer towards the goalie. And that, Jesse, we were talking about in the pre-show, that kind of skews how people look at this via numbers afterwards, right? Because the shots are not like high danger.
The game, I think, well, depends on what you call boring. Like it was Carolina
boring as hell.
It was Carolina hockey,
clinical,
Carolina
boring.
Hurricanes hockey, and that they dominated the play, and that game played out exactly how the Hurricanes want to play games. They're going to get a ton of shots on goal. None of them are going to go through. They're going to squeak out with 2 goals ish on 40 something shots, but they're going to control the play on both ends. The other team isn't going to get a ton of shots, and the shot counter is going to be very slanted one way, and like the Washington Capitals are hoping we're going to be able to just get a couple here by on the few shots we're going to get, and that's how we're going to win this game. The Carolina Hurricanes are like, okay, if we can just capitalize on one of these 40 shots, we'll win the game. That's what happened eventually in overtime.
What are your chances to win a game if you get 0 shots in overtime?
0.
Yeah.
Capitals got 0 shots in overtime.
If you're a Hurricane fan, that game is very entertaining to you, because you've watched that game play out 82 times plus the playoffs. You know, like that's every single game. I think they dominated that one from every respect.
Every game the Leafs have ever won has something redeeming about it. I found the end very exciting. You know what I mean?
Like the result was cool.
The result was great.
Adam, I think you need some credit to Freddie Anderson.
Hey, listen, man.
He's stayed healthy.
He's played great, and he got his extension done. He's got a 1-year extension now too.
Yeah.
Happy for him.
He played the whole game.
He sure did. And you know what? I do need to say this. Freddie's been really good for them when he's healthy, and you know the body is breaking down. I do want to say that I feel like the Leafs defense in front of him when he was playing in the playoffs was so shockingly bad. It's amazing that we ever thought they could win a game. So as much as I was never totally thrilled with Frederik Andersen's play in net as a Leaf fan during the playoffs, it's sort of hard to totally blame him for it, because if you go and look at the lineups that they iced, of course things went the way they did.
There were at least 3 years where he was the biggest reason they won most nights.
Yes.
Like MVP.
Yes. 100%.
MVP. Who's the best player on the Leafs? Oh, it's Austin Matthews. Who's their MVP? Oh, okay. Well, that's a totally different question.
Freddie Andersen. Yeah.
So some credit too to Jacob Slavin, who's the best defensive defenseman in the world. He scored the goal. Like you're getting offense out of the best defense guy is pretty cool.
And I think because, you know, I'm so glad the Four Nations happened, because you got a reminder of, Jake Slavin's awesome.
Yeah.
Jake Slavin's wicked. He's so good. And because, you know, Carolina is not the market that attracts national attention all the time. Some, you know, the guys, the Svechnikovs, the Ahos, the Slavins, they don't get maybe the kudos that they would get if they were playing in an LA or a New York or you know, Edmonton, Toronto, Vancouver. You know what I mean?
They get a small portion of the national attention.
Yes.
And a large portion of the nerd attention.
Oh, the nerd.
So if
they
you're
they are king nerd.
If you're listening to this show, you're like, what are you talking about? Everyone talks about the Hurricanes. You are hanging out with the nerds, I see.
Yeah.
I talk about them all the time as well, but go and talk to your uncle. He didn't give a good gosh darn about the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Another game where we saw 10 even strength shots on goal for the losing team.
Oh my God.
The Washington Capitals only had 10.
It's so crazy because this playoffs is like, it's either insane defensive performance or insane offensive performance.
Or bench fight.
Or bench fight. We got one of those. And that was, I'll be honest, another boring series. Not a great series. Unless you're a fan of the...
Washington, Montreal.
How much Washington, Montreal did you watch?
Not as much as you.
And I'm telling you, until that moment in game 3, I could have slept through those games. They were boring. They were. What was cool was seeing Montreal's power play develop, especially after Laine was out and they put Demidov on it. That's cool. It was great to see Lane Hudson. It was great to see the Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield thing develop and find confidence in the playoffs. But ultimately, when I compare that to what Dallas and Colorado were doing, it's not the same.
Question.
Entertainment value-wise. It's just not.
Question from the peanut gallery.
Sure.
Montreal decided to go straight at Tom Wilson.
Yes.
Did that help or hurt them?
They didn't go straight at Tom Wilson. They spent 2 games not going at him,
Well,
and then
yes,
they put
and
Arbor-Xhekaj in.
Yes.
And no, they didn't stop Tom Wilson. Like Josh Anderson and Tom Wilson were supposed to fight, and they just never did. And Josh Anderson, that was the most motivated and in charge I've seen him in years.
Mm-hmm.
And still, Tom Wilson is so good. He kills penalties.
Uh-huh.
His vision on offense is unbelievable.
Power play.
And when
Everything.
he leveled Carrier, absolutely leveled Carrier, turned that entire game around. So that's he's got a game breaker quality. When they say unicorn with Tom Wilson, yeah.
He hasn't arrived in this series like in the way that you expect.
And he didn't arrive in game 1 against Montreal either the same way. I think he'll be a factor going forward.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I'm, as much as I didn't love his early career and some of the injuries he laid on guys, he seems to have figured it out where now he's just effective.
Well, yeah, he goes more than 90 days without getting suspended.
It's crazy, right?
Like it's
Yeah.
growing up, It's a journey.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. We all go at different paces.
Now, as we are speaking, unless you guys have anything more to add on the Caps,
I'm obsessed with those shot numbers.
well, I'd like to see if they can continue.
33 shots on goal for the Hurricanes. 36 of them were blocked, and 25 missed the net.
Man.
All they do is shoot. Anyway,
on,
we can
man.
move on.
Come on. Let's go to the New Jersey Devils, who did today have their locker clean out.
Oh,
This
boy.
is what. So these quotes happened actually while we were recording.
Oh, what did Sheldon say? Oh, no.
It's not Sheldon that you should think about. It's Tom Fitzgerald.
Oh.
This is the quote that's going to stand out. We won't be coming back with the same group because it wasn't good enough.
Oh.
And this is a general manager who could have sat in front of the crowd today, or the press today, and said, we had a bunch of unfortunate injuries. It hurt us, and we're going to come back next year.
No team has had a more valid excuse to lose in recent memory.
And he goes, we're not good enough. I respect that.
Yeah.
Now, here are some of the UFAs they're looking at. Jake Allen, Nathan Bastian, Dennis Chowalski, Justin Dowling, Brian Dumoulin, Curtis Lazard, Daniel Sprong, and Thomas Tatar. RFAs include Luke Hughes, Cody Glass, and Cal Foote. Or sorry, Nolan Foote, not Cal Foote. So it feels like none of the players, like Jake Allen is obviously a pretty important part to that goaltending. I don't think Jake Allen's the problem.
No. Well, and Dumoulin, I imagine they'll want to bring back.
But a lot of those
I don't know
guys
if they can afford it.
feel like guys that they could probably move on from, which tells me the Devils are going to look to trade.
I think they're going to be real active. This draft is going to be so much fun, especially with the top 5, top 10, the way it is, and the cap going up. And I think we're going to see a really cartoony summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you got some teams that are pissed off. I'm glad that a team with carte blanche to do nothing has already planted their flag in the sand saying we're going to do everything. Awesome. That's great news if you're a hockey fan. And if you're a moving company in New Jersey. Great news.
Jess, what do you think you even do to this roster? Like the part that's surprising to me is that they mentioned it at all. Like you don't have Jack Hughes.
Yeah,
it's like the Oilers not having their best players. Like, how do you not? That's a prime excuse.
They need more depth scoring. Like, I think that's what they need. I'm not too dissatisfied with the defense. Like, I think the defense is good.
Fully healthy, that's at least a top 10 core in the league.
You have your goaltender in Markstrom. You have your high-end players like Bratt coming this season, having like a little breakout season was awesome. Mm-hmm. You're getting Jack Hughes back. You still have Palat there. You have Timo Meier. Like, I guess you want to fill out the bottom 6. But like, I don't know. I kind of like New Jersey.
Yeah, I like the team a
I
lot.
like them too.
Yeah,
I thought they're a decent team, but I get Tom Fitzgerald wants to tinker. I think in that middle 6 area, and which I think is appropriate. It's fine.
Interesting.
I'm not going to hate him for trying to get better, as every GM should be doing.
Yes,
but I didn't think like this was as dire as he thinks it is.
Could it
I
be
feel like they're
emotions?
close.
Might he back off that a little bit and be like, I'm just getting emotional?
No, rational thought is so boring.
Yeah.
Don't give me any of that.
Okay.
You know what? Jim Rutherford's out here like, yeah, our captain might leave. Like, no, you got to follow that up with something else interesting.
If they have a little bit more goal scoring, they're in a better position for sure.
So I look at the playoff 5-on-5 scoring, goals allowed, and the New Jersey Devils are 4th. Like they were allowing the 4th least amount of 5-on-5 goals. So I'm not I'm not.
You mean from like the first round?
Yeah, from the first round.
They need goals.
They need goals.
Yeah, they need more depth scoring, I think. You know?
Yeah.
Even like if they want to go out and get a guy like Mitch Marner, it'd be interesting.
Whoa.
Well, I mean, I think that's interesting for 32 teams.
Yeah.
Man, imagine you guys scores 100. That's
Can the
crazy.
Devils make a push for him? Do they have the cap space?
I will look it up. I will.
I think
find
you
it.
Like because then you bring in the high end player and you just push everybody down. There's your depth,
32 teams have the cap space. If you think you can get that player, you make it.
Right. So you go get like a Mitch.
They have 12 million to spend, which is actually one of the lower numbers I've seen. 12 million to spend.
12, huh? Could that get it done? What's the tax
Like,
situation?
can you move? Can you
Proven
move the
playoff performer.
Get it done.
Can you move the 6 million Palat makes? You know, and you free up more cap space and you fill out your lineup that way with Mitch.
I love Andre Palat with all my heart.
6 million's a lot.
Sometimes time catches up.
Yeah.
Might have caught up.
That deal probably doesn't look great right now.
No,
I
looked
feel
great
like-
when they signed it.
I feel like those kinds of deals, what Tom Fitzgerald's talking about, like Cody Glass as your fourth line center, you probably want something better than that, and you're paying him $2.5 million. Like, that's not ideal.
I don't mind a GM taking responsibility.
Yeah, and it's like that quote. It's like, okay, you don't have enough depth. You want to get more players. Like, that's on you. That's your fault.
Yeah.
It's your fault, sir, if the roster is not good.
And he's going out there and telling them,
Yeah.
it's me.
Yeah,
It's me. Put it on me.
There's a lot of tinkering to be done in New Jersey.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I like that they're mad. Now, also news this morning. It hasn't officially been announced by the team, but multiple people have reported that Joel Quenneville will be the new coach of the Anaheim Ducks, which has been suspected for weeks. David Carl was interviewed for this, as was Rick Tocchet.
Supposedly, Quenneville was the first person they interviewed.
Yes, and clearly the one that basically everybody was like, yeah, it's Quenneville. But they're going to interview other guys, but it's Quenneville.
And it's Pat Verbeek hiring one of his old Hartford teammates, like we talked about last show or the show before.
Now, everybody, there are obviously Darren Dreger and Emily Kaplan, as of this recording, are the ones that I see most prominently on the story. And what Dreger said about it was, sources say the Ducks did an extensive background check to the Kyle Beach case, including work Quenneville has done to reform the mistakes he made during that time. And then he says that he was the first candidate that they went after. Now, Emily Kaplan's reporting on this is that Anaheim did extensive search into Quenneville's role in the Blackhawks' 2010 sex abuse scandal over several weeks and spoke with Kyle Beach directly.
Not the only person involved.
Not the only person involved. Team determined Quenneville continued to put necessary work in to learn those mistakes. So what's going to be interesting is that, you know, they're going to have to answer those questions. And I think part of the reason why this makes sense from a lot of perspectives is that Anaheim doesn't have a ton of media coverage directly. And for a guy like this to jump in, and I'm not trying to take shots at the Ducks or the market or whatever. Like, we've all seen the Ducks win the Cup, and
I
that
mean,
market be great.
he's a good coach. That's why he was hired.
But it is a market.
That's not why he's currently out of a job, though.
Right. So we'll see what they say at the press conference. Right.
You know, okay, Kyle Beach was interviewed. That's great. Was John Doe too? Was the female staffer? Was the black ace that is currently in litigation with the Blackhawks? A lot of people forget, and again, we've done this story many times. A lot of people forget it wasn't just Kyle Beach that was involved in this whole thing. Brad Aldrich went to prison, and it wasn't because of what he did to Kyle Beach. What was it for? Well, we've been through it a lot of times. I was looking through the Jenner and Block report, the entire ride down on the train. That's what I read on the train, on public transit. There's so much more to this story that people forget.
And can be forgiven for forgetting, because it was a few years ago, and unless you're living it all the time, like, people have things, right? Like, it happens. But you do need to, if you're interested, look it up. It's available.
I would just say I don't remember any of the other potential victims involved being given little redemption arc podcast interviews. I'll just leave it at that.
I hope we're gonna get more info than this Dreger, like the tweet that he's done the work. I hope they can explain the work he's done and that it's satisfactory, and in that like he's actually changed in some sort of way. Because like right now, I don't have any evidence that where's the work, and so I'm waiting for it.
We've seen this. We saw this with who was that? The Miller, the kid that Boston tried to sign.
Colin.
No.
Mitchell
Miller. And, he'd done the work. And that was what was told to multiple insiders. He'd done the work.
Yeah.
And then it turned out he hadn't done the work. He hadn't done anything.
That's why I see these things and I'm like, yeah, okay.
We'll see.
You can't just say that anymore because I've heard this before and your words don't mean anything right now.
If I'm not mistaken, Quenneville, when he was with the Panthers, which I forgot was ever a thing, he said he became aware of the allegations through the media years after the fact. We know from the Jenner and Block report that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
We know from the Jenner and Block report he learned about it that night. There's varying stories about how much of the meeting he was party to. So maybe that's where some of the confusion is, but that's not true. So he's a somewhat unreliable narrator here.
The thing about his tenure with the Panthers that always has a sour taste in my mouth to this day, and I'll never forget, is how he got his one last game to coach.
Yep.
Because everything broke and everything happened, and it was like, are you going to step down? No, blah, blah, blah. And then he doesn't step down, and he gets to coach that game that night, and then he gets to walk off into the sunset because he's kicked out of the league for all of this stuff. And it was such a dirty move by the league to not just pull him from that. Not the Panthers too, you have responsibility in this thing to just not allow him to have a swan song and a goodbye party, and then now he's back and everything. But like, getting that last game always seems so scummy to me.
I mean, this is just a soft launch to his redemption arc, and eventually he's going to be a member of the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Well, and remember that if the Oilers go and win the Cup this year, who's the general manager?
Stan Bowman. Yeah, man.
But now, I hope it's true that he's done the work.
Of course.
I'm rooting for that. I want to be clear about that.
No one's like, no, stay shitty.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on.
Stay toxic.
Learn nothing.
Yeah. No, you want that to happen, but I think we can't, and nobody can be faulted for going, yeah, okay, sure, or is this just convenient? Like, I even go back to something, and this is way different, but the way the Blue Jackets handled bringing Mike Babcock in. And that's a way different, way less serious scenario. But Babcock had been labeled as bad guy. And multiple stories about Babcock had came out. Remember, we went through that press conference.
He didn't even make it to exhibition.
And
crazy.
we afterwards, we went through the press conference, and essentially the Blue Jackets, Jarmo Kekalainen was like, yeah, we talked to a bunch of his friends, and they all thought he was great.
Yeah, we talked to literally his best friends. Who was it? Ken Hitchcock.
Who lives on the same street as him.
What are you doing? Talk to his worst enemy.
Yeah.
That's what.
Talk to Johan Franzen.
Talk to his most recent employer, the University of Saskatchewan, where there was a lot of shady things that went on with his tenure there.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
and
that's a good point, Adam, because like that's the evidence that we have from the people who work within the NHL that they say they do things, they say work has been done, and then we get deeper into it and we find out, it's probably not really true.
You never hear years have passed and he's still reprehensible.
But we're hiring him anyway.
Yeah. You know what? Have you seen his career record?
Yeah.
We're the Ducks. But Steve, you never see that.
That is, in most of these cases, the truth. And they don't say that.
I find it very odd that his friends were wrong.
All right. Now, I want to do this clip. Jesse, I believe I sent it to you earlier. I want to do this clip. No, I didn't send it to you. Give me a sec. I want to do this clip of Joe Sakic yesterday. Because this clip, I mean, this sort of sums up, I'm just sending it to you now. This sums up what Steve said earlier, which is the only team that's eliminated where the playoffs could get worse for them is the Colorado Avalanche. And it was I think doubled down on by Sakic and McFarland. And I tweeted out last night, if you're a Jets fan, you should only hate two people in this series, and it's Tulsky and Sakic. And everybody's like, but Chris McFarland is the general manager.
Nah.
Yeah, just like Kyle Dubas was under Brendan Shanahan. Sure.
And Bobby Webster is for the Raptors.
100%.
Yeah.
It's Sakic making the calls in Colorado. Okay, I don't care what you say. Chris McFarland does all the work. Sakic is the guy that goes yay or nay.
Yeah.
He is the one who knocks. And I want you to listen to his answer here when they talked about why the Mikko Rantanen situation didn't work out in Colorado, why they felt the need to trade.
For our live audience, just imagine an interview. It's really good.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I was part of everything that was going on. And as a group, we felt we had a decision to make, and it's a tough decision, trading a guy like that. But you look at where we were in the last few years, we weren't good enough. We weren't deep enough. We won in 22 because we had our stars, but we were also deep, and you can't win the Stanley Cup without it. And status quo wasn't good enough. We wanted to have him signed, and I'm not going to go into details and say talk about negotiations, but they know where they were at before the trade was made. So, but after the deadline, we love the team we have. If it was up to me, if we could do it, and we'd love to bring this same unit back and try and go on another run. But we felt we had to get deeper, and not only for this season's team, but moving forward, that just paying 3 high-end guys and not having a surrounding cast wasn't going to get it done.
The key part there is the first part where he says, I was a part of everything that was going on. And I want people to understand this because, again, the responses to that tweet, I was like, do you guys really not know that Sakic is making the calls here?
To me, the best part was Chris McFarland saying 0 words.
Well, the question was for Joe.
Yes, but because Joe's the one doing everything.
Because you asked Joe, because who cares what Chris has to say
He's
on
a
that
guy.
subject? This is, if Chris McFarland wants to make a trade for a depth player, I'm sure Joe Sakic's like, yeah, man, whatever you want to do. When it's Mikko Rantanen, that is an organization that goes to the owner.
You might want to run that up the flagpole, yeah.
You talk about that.
Yeah.
And clearly they did, and clearly they felt like whatever they're going to have to pay Cale Makar, I'm sure it's going to be like $15 million.
A lot of money.
They didn't feel like they wanted to go the Toronto model. And I don't blame them for that, although Toronto had 4 guys, not 3. And
you've won with these ones, though.
You have.
You've won with these ones, and
the cap is exploding.
With the Leafs, I hate that comparable. I understand the validity of it, but the Leafs haven't gotten it done. That's been the number one knock. The Avalanche very much have. They went and made all these additions. Imagine you're able to go out and get Nelson. You're able to go out and get Coyle. You make those 2 changes in net, and you still have Rantanen. And you don't have to play against Rantanen. They're going to have to play that guy for the next half decade.
Oh, half decade.
He's going to haunt them.
He's in their division. This is crazy. We already talked about it. We think they're going to meet 4 or 5 times in the next 10 years, right? So
Oilers met the Kings 4 straight years. 4. That could happen to you. That could happen to Colorado. Your hope for the foreseeable future is they win the division, so you're the 2 or 3 seed.
Now, it is important to know that there was only a couple of goals differentiation in this entire
Doesn't
series,
matter.
Right? Jesse, do you think that
you know how many series the Leafs have lost by 1 goal?
Most of them.
Knock it off.
Do you think that Colorado, if they bring back this group, they've got just as good a chance as anybody to win the Cup next year?
I don't know. I would just much rather have Mikko Rantanen.
Okay.
I
over
feel
Anichis and Jack Drury?
100%. And who knows what Brock Nelson's going to do? He can
decision.
do anything. He can just walk away. You see what Mikko Rantanen is doing in the playoffs. You would much rather have Mikko Rantanen.
Rantanen had 1 assist in the first 4 games, and Colorado looked pretty good. The second he arrived, it wasn't close.
And now you got to ask the question, was Nathan MacKinnon holding back Mikko Rantanen? Is that
people
the
are
key
saying
to everything?
I did ask you, though, on the pre-show last night, I wondered if internally Colorado, one of their calculations was, Rantanen's been great, but he's played with Nathan MacKinnon the entire time. And I wonder if they
probably
thought, hey, there's the Nathan MacKinnon bubble that kind of gives you, maybe they thought, okay, without Nate, his production's actually about 5 or 10% less than it would be. And that's significant. Do they look at it that way? And that's why they make that calculation.
The in and out of this year is wonky. I really like what they did in net. You gave up the sun and the moon to get Brock Nelson while trading down, I'm going to say, to get Nietzsche's. Like, Nietzsche's fit in really well in Colorado. He'll never fit in as well as a guy who won a cup with you in 2022.
And is the best playoff scorer of this generation.
Yes! With MacKinnon.
And MacKinnon had 7 goals in that first round.
And he looked lonely.
Yeah. I don't know how many people listen to the pre-show and then also listen to the pod, so I'll just repeat myself on what you're talking about. But we were talking about like them making that decision, evaluating everything that goes into it. And NHL teams, they have NHL scouts. It's not just amateur scouting that they do. NHL scouts exist and they're on the payroll and they look at around the league and they evaluate talent based on their own roster and the guys that are available and so forth. And I think a lot of the guys in the Colorado Avalanche organization have to wear this from that standpoint in terms of them assessing their talent against the talent that's in the rest of the league, because they thought we can get rid of Mikko Rantanen, bring in these other players, and we're going to be better for it. Not even just like we're going to maintain that value. We're going to improve if we move him away. And what actually happened is they got rid of a guy who's irreplaceable. And they didn't recognize that when they had it. And they didn't recognize that for the extra $800,000, $500,000,
it was
$1
$700,000,
million.
by the way. It's $700,000
whatever
a season.
the
That's
number
what they were
is,
apart.
if it's
Less than a league min player.
Yeah.
$700,000 per season, that guy is worth more than the jury and the Nietzsche's and the picks that you're going to bring in. That player, his talent in comparison to the rest of the players in the league is worth more than that. And they did a very poor job at this trade deadline. And with the Brock Nelson deal and him not stepping up in the playoffs at all, evaluating their talent and the talent in the rest of the league. And I think somebody, if it's Chris McFarland and the guys under him or Joe Sakic, whoever makes that final decision, they did a really bad job.
I know the comparison has been made to the Leafs, being very top heavy and everything. Before we saw how they've done in the playoffs, which is pretty good so far, there was still a conversation of, well, the cap is going up. And that's been a big problem, is the cap is not going up. And even us, like sickos, we're like, I don't know, maybe you do run it back. Colorado had every legitimate reason to try to run it back, and they didn't. Mm-hmm. No bueno. And like, it couldn't have gone worse. Mm. And you know what sucks for Colorado is there's a game 2 of the Dallas Jets series as well. And it's going to be followed by a game 3 and 4, and it might even go longer than that. Mm-hmm. It's not fun.
No.
It's their playoff is going to get worse and worse and worse without them even hitting the ice. Not fun.
Well, they're going to have to wear it for a very long time because Mikko Rantanen's going to be a star for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Prayers for Drew.
Oh, boy.
Prayers for producer Drew.
Now, last couple things, Utah Mammoth name is officially confirmed.
I like it.
I like it, too.
Me too.
I don't even mind the crest. People are criticizing the crest.
I think it's cool.
I think the crest is cool. It's fine.
There's a team called the Predators. There's a team called the Blue Jackets.
Yeah.
The Mammoth isn't like a bottom 10 name in the league.
No,
I like it. I like the logo. I like the name.
What's the bottom 10 then?
Okay, Blue Jackets.
Give me bottom 4.
Okay.
Bottom 4 worst names in the NHL. Adam, I'm going to ask you next.
Do teams like the Canadiens and the Leafs get a pass because they're so old?
No.
Okay, well, those names are not great. The Canucks.
Well,
Steve,
but those teams are based on cultural heritage.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think
the Canadiens is not Canadian as in like Canada.
Yeah,
Canadien, which is like the French.
You have to take into account everything that goes into the name.
And the
what,
Maple
you just said it didn't matter.
No,
I said they're old.
No, I don't mean like just like throw it out the window that it's old. Like take into account everything.
Well, if you take into account heritage, then Leafs and Habs are
Okay,
cool.
yes, sorry.
Yeah, I think you have to
Okay.
take that. Well, I think that's why you say that. Right?
Okay,
It's like
great.
it has something to do with the
And Steve,
Maple Leaf was
you can't do
regiment.
the thing where you just run through every team out loud.
Yeah,
Why?
Like,
no,
just
you
pick
can't.
4.
Pick 4 that are worse.
And
Or
tell
the
me why.
bottom 4. Adam, you can go first while Steve thinks.
Okay. So I'm gonna make one city really mad at me.
You're going to make 4 cities.
I'm gonna make 4 cities really mad at me, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. Islanders, you guys didn't try. Yeah.
Yep.
They're on Long Island.
You didn't try.
That's funny.
They should be the New York Ons. That's what they should be. The
That's
Ons.
good. I like that one. Okay.
Vancouver Canucks. You didn't try.
Fart.
That's from that hokey era in the early 70s where you kind of have these like everything got a little.
There's
cheesy.
2 Canadian teams called the Canadians.
Yeah,
It's just different versions.
and different backgrounds.
That's fair. I feel like both of those are really fair.
The Anaheim Ducks. I know it was named after a movie.
It was mighty, and they
were-
got rid of it.
That's
They were
right.
the Mighty
if
Ducks,
they had
yeah.
remained the Mighty Ducks, I'd have been fine with it.
The only reason they got a pass is the first year they were the Ducks, they won the cup. Yep.
Sorry?
when they
first
got
year
rid
they
of Mighty.
changed the name.
Oh,
They won the
were
Stanley
yeah.
Cup, yeah.
So,
That's all Berkey.
and the
That's all Berkey.
and the one that has always made the least sense to me, and I'm gonna make this city very mad, because they're already on the edge usually. Team that's usually a city that's usually on the edge.
Toronto.
A little bit testy.
Toronto.
What?
Philadelphia Flyers. What do you fly?
Oh yeah, that name also the origin
That's
of it
gotta be
is
heritage.
really bad. I think it was they held a contest to come up with the name of the Flyers, and then the owner who owned it at the time said, "You know what? I'm going to take a suggestion from like my sister-in-law and just name them the Flyers."
I think that's
I
what it is.
believe that's how the story. Like
yeah.
And our logo is going to be Detroit's, but backward and not as good.
Yeah.
they held a whole contest.
It's true.
And they just said, "Screw
It's the
it."
same damn logo.
Damn, Jesse, nice pull. I didn't know that.
No, I'm butchering the story, but like that's basically how they got their name.
Now,
The Flyers logo is the Detroit logo, but in the 70s and drawn from memory.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
With
Yeah.
the wrong colored crayons.
Yeah, and I'll give listen, honorable mention to the Penguins, because there are no Penguins in Pittsburgh, but it's a nice animal and I get it. And but again,
Alliteration.
hokey early 70s. Flyers, Penguins, and what was the other one? Flyers, Penguins, and I named it.
And then you get Mammoth.
Which is sick.
It's sick. Everyone lay off.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm not one to get to like go out and get a jersey of another team. I don't know. That's kind of a good one.
See, I like the Flyers jersey a lot.
I think it's Kerfoot.
Cool. I like their colors. I like everything about the Flyers jersey.
I'm not taking. Listen, it's been around long enough that it's become cool. The Philadelphia Flyers jersey and logo is undeniably cool.
It's so cool.
But if you take the time to think about it in the context of it's a new team,
yeah.
it's the Detroit logo, but worse.
And I didn't take the Blue Jackets because you took them. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to do the Blue Jackets.
Why is it?
It's just a
The
Civil,
cannons,
it's a Civil War reference. right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I found it on the Wikipedia page for the Philadelphia Flyers. I basically got the story right.
go.
On April 4th, 1966, Putnam announced that there was going to be a Name the Team contest to name the Philadelphia Flyers. Details of the contest were released on July 12th. Snyder's sister, Phyllis, thought that a name that fits well with Philadelphia was the Flyers.
They're the Philadelphia Flyers.
Instead of going through with the naming contest, Ed Snyder took his sister's advice and named the team the Flyers.
What?
Can you imagine that happened in a social media era? Team announces contest and goes, actually, like rich guy goes, actually, I'm just going to take what my sister says. People
Like,
would've
what?
Shish kebab them.
Remember that Canadian Heritage commercial? We should call him Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. Just Winnie the Pooh. Stupid. Don't listen to that baby child. They're wrong. And
Wasn't
now
Ed
that
Snyder
bear is
like-
called Pooh forever.
Ed Snyder was like a bad owner
No,
or a
he-
good owner?
he was
I
one
don't
of
know.
the-
no,
Oh.
he's beloved.
Beloved? Oh, okay.
Beloved.
okay.
But was one of
I knew
the
there's one or the other.
The Wirtz, Jacobs, like he was one of the guys that ran the league. For
I'm
a
sure there
long
were some
time.
big power struggle things there, but
yeah.
no, like in
People loved
Philadelphia, they loved him.
That Putnam I referenced, he's a part of the group that originally were the founding members of the team. Like Snyder was originally in that, and then the guy like Bill Putnam, Jerome Schiff, and a bunch of other people actually brought the team. And Snyder just kind of overruled them because he's like, my sister's got a cool name.
The
Cancel the
Flyers
contest.
And then it's almost like they built a team that had to overcome the name.
Yeah, they have to be so good that
We're going to give ourselves the meekest, dumbest name and just go out there and assault people on a nightly basis.
And they did.
Flyers doesn't even make sense.
And it doesn't.
Like, what does that mean?
It doesn't mean anything.
You fly? Like
That was my question. What did you fly?
On a bird.
They
In a
fly on
plane,
the ice.
Like Goku.
If they hit it, if
you
that,
fly like Goku.
If the Wright brothers had developed the airplane in Philadelphia,
That makes sense.
then you go, okay, well that makes
Maybe
sense.
they did.
Yeah.
Let me see.
They didn't, I don't think.
I don't think they did either.
I think she just liked how it sounds with the word Philadelphia. Ed Snyder's sister.
That's so ass. That's so ass.
By the way,
I'm sorry.
The Wright brothers, North Carolina.
What?
Yeah, what?
The Carolina Flyers
There you
would have
go.
made so much more sense. Oh, dear.
Just like the Florida Hurricanes would have made a lot more sense than the Carolina Hurricanes.
Hurricanes works. Panthers
they got
works.
lots of hurricanes in
they get
Carolina.
hurricanes, but
Lightning works.
Lightning works.
It's all very regional and relevant.
Panther works because there was a panther in Florida.
Thrashers, boo.
Yeah, that was
The ones in the North American pro sports where they just kept the name from the other place are the worst ones. Like the Utah Jazz, where they just took the name from New Orleans.
Dude, the Lakers.
The Lakers, because they came from Minnesota, where the lakes are.
The Clippers
And
from San Diego, right? They named it after a San Diego Clipper.
oh, is that what
Yes.
it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
Clippers doesn't make sense, but
Yeah.
the owner, who was a total a-hole, was like,
That story is
he's
so
good,
consistent.
Good friend with his. Well, he was the guy that was turfed for the
You remember
comments
V.
about Magic.
Stiviano?
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
he
sorry.
had,
my
he had
bad.
been the owner since essentially the time the Buss family took over the Lakers, and they were like frenemies, I guess.
Okay.
And he was jealous of the LA market, so he moved them from San Diego to LA, and they kept the name. And yeah, it's stupid. The Rams in St. Louis. The Rams in LA.
Yeah, well,
What
they're
Rams?
originally, right? They were in LA first, right?
Yes,
And then they went over St. Louis.
I suppose because there's mountains, there might be Rams.
I don't know the origin of that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways, changes a lot of dumb names in sports.
Yeah.
Calgary Flames.
Atlanta Flames.
They were the Atlanta Flames.
See, Calgary, though,
Are there flames in Atlanta?
they were.
Did it have to do
No,
with the Olympics?
like, is there fire in
I think
Atlanta?
no, I think it makes more sense in Calgary because of the oil and gas. Right?
Right. So why did Atlanta choose that name?
Why did the
What I'm trying to get at
Atlanta-
is Mammoth good.
Yeah. We went through this, I think, the original time, and we talked about how, baseball, there's two teams named after socks.
Like, that's shit.
Oh, you guys.
Oh, yeah. We were, no, you know what it was? It was the PWHL names.
Oh,
and they weren't
yeah,
popular.
that's
And I'm
where we
like,
had
there's
this
two names.
conversation.
There's two teams named after socks.
Yeah, after
What?
clothing. Yeah.
Socks,
Yeah.
red and white.
And you thought this was funny for a sports team?
And what do the White Sox wear? Oh, black, of course. What the? That doesn't make any sense.
Why are the Atlanta Flames called the Flames?
Tim Cousins, who was the owner, real estate
Nick's
developer.
dad?
Yeah, Nick's dad.
Grandpa.
Nick's dad.
Grandpa.
He named the franchise the Flames in homage to the burning of Atlanta by U.S.
Oh, my goodness.
General William Sherman during the Civil War. So he
For
named,
which side?
well,
honor?
Atlanta was on the not great side. Atlanta's on the traitor side. So he named it after a defeat. And what happened to the team? They left.
What?
Yeah. So he named it after, like, that would be like us naming it after, like,
I don't know.
I don't even know.
No, don't try
To
and come up
Toronto,
with
it was
something.
4-1s.
yeah.
The 4-1ers.
Yeah, so that's what he decided to name it after. And then
What year was this?
this was 19
It's got to be old enough where you can just get away with this kind of stuff.
Mammoth.
founded in 72.
Mammoth.
Oh,
or-
that's not old enough.
No.
You don't think so?
I needed a 4. Like,
You need-
I needed a 4 and after that 9.
Can I give you guys a fun fact about the Atlanta Flames?
Hit me.
They hired a young man in his mid-30s to be their first general manager,
Oh, Cliff Fletcher.
Cliff Fletcher.
No
I know that.
shot. 20 years into his career.
This is 72. He's in his 30s at this point.
Oh, no.
Maybe 40s.
He's older than we are now.
And by the way, he'd already been the GM of the St. Louis Blues before
Yeah.
that.
Unbelievable.
they expanded-
He was like an assistant when like Rocket Richard was in his heyday.
Yes. Isn't that nuts? Cliff Fletcher still working. God bless him.
Actually, I don't know if he is. Because I don't know if he's listed on Elite Prospects anymore.
Oh, well.
Well, like, because they have the staff page. Not that he would be an elite prospect Elite retiree. We need elite retirees.
I feel like if he was going to retire, they would have had a ceremony for him. He's been with the team forever.
I don't know.
It just feels like that's something.
Last July, Lance Hornby tweeted, hearing that Cliff Fletcher has renewed his contract with the Leafs for another year as senior advisor.
They would have had a thing.
Soon to be 89, he doesn't get out to many games, but puts in a full day with a bank of TVs and computer streaming, watching NHL, Junior, AHL, and NCAA games.
Can you imagine running tech support for Cliff Fletcher?
No.
An 89-year-old?
No.
So this season, because that was last July, so he's talking about this current season.
Still here.
He's still employed.
They are not going to... Listen, first off, he's working till he's dead.
Yes.
He is.
Yes.
And
or
if
he physically can't do it.
And if he was going to retire, they would have a ceremony for him, and they would bring him out, and we would all applaud, as we should.
Man.
He was also the GM of the Flames for like 2 decades, right? Because that's 73, and then the Flames moved to Calgary in 80, I think. And then he was their GM when they won the Cup.
And then he came to Toronto and set the Flames back decades.
Yes, he sure did.
Hooray.
We're on his side forever because of the Wendell Clark, Matt Sundin trade, right?
Well, I think the Doug Gilmore, Gary Leeman trade is what. Whatever
he's got a couple.
But to be honest, like
no one
wants to hear this, but the Wendell Clark, Matt Sundin is probably the greatest trade in Leafs history.
Yes.
Wendell Clark would probably tell you that.
Yes.
And then they got to play together, which just solidies it.
Twice. Wendell Clark came back twice.
Well, the trade to get him back was pretty bad.
Yeah, but the second one wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
I remember that he started against Edmonton in the third go around in Toronto. He rung one off the post. I asked him about it when I interviewed him on BT, and he talked to me about that whole shift. He's like, "Yeah, I remember that shift," and he broke down the play. It was cool. It was very cool.
He doesn't have the crazy eyes.
No, he doesn't.
Got the chance to talk, but he's got the old man hockey player hands, where all his fingers are twice the width of yours. If you talk to any retired hockey player, they all have the fattest fingers you've ever seen.
It's a Saskatchewan farm boy thing too.
Just I shook hands with Johnny Bauer a year or two before he passed, and he had hands that they looked twice the size that they ought to have been for a man
gloves.
his size.
Yeah.
They looked like prosthetics. Yes, like they looked like movie props, just huge
Lindros
hands.
has those too.
Well, Lindros has that for everything.
His whole body.
My annual handshake and hug with him is always holy moly.
Yeah.
Just in my head, I say holy moly.
One last thing that I want to get to, and then we'll wrap. Eric Stahl, officially assistant to the regional manager in Buffalo. Actually, the real title is a special assistant to the GM, which tells you I don't really care about Eric. Your take on Eric Stahl as a manager because he's just starting out.
You shouldn't have one.
What
really.
I thought was juicy about that is Kevyn Adams is for sure sticking around now.
Yeah, listen. Whether Adams sticks around or not, Buffalo needs more hands and minds. They don't have enough people. They need more good people, for sure. Some more experience would probably be better, but they don't have enough hands and they don't have enough minds. In my eye, nearly any signing they make is a good one. They don't have enough people.
It means they had budget, head count.
Good.
Yeah.
It means they're trying something, anything. And they like their inner circle. They know this guy. You know what? I'm moving the goalposts significantly. Good for them.
Jesse, what do you think about Kevyn Adams returning for another year?
I don't think it's a good idea. I think Kevyn Adams sits on his hands a lot, and he's had enough time to build a good roster, and he has done the complete opposite.
Okay.
They have gone sideways.
Do you think they plant some palm trees this year?
Probably it'd help.
They've already planted the seeds of doubt.
The Stahl Adams thing, it shouldn't give you confidence in that anything will change, because Stahl and Kevyn Adams played together from 2003 to 2007. They won a Stanley Cup together. He hired one of his friends.
Shocking.
Unsuccessful man
Crazy.
brings in friend to tell him yes. That sounds like Buffalo Sabres hockey, people.
Sure does. Good luck, guys.
Come on.
Good luck. All right.
Oh, yeah, there's my take on that.
We will wrap it up there, but before we do, I just want to say thank you to everybody who showed up today. We're getting a bigger crowd every single show, so shout out to you guys. Thank you so much, and we will be back on Saturday. It's Thursday already. We'll be back Saturday after the Leafs game on Friday.
Yeah, weird Friday night playoff game for the Leafs.
All right.
Nice.
Hey.
Just put me in front of a camera and I'll talk.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.